But my beats, they are hard.
In 1995, Michael Jordan sent the fax to tell everybody he's back. Today, I just show up on the SportsWrap like I usually do to let everybody know I'm back. Welcome to the BCSN SportsWrap with Brian Fulford, AD Drew. Brian been carrying the ship for the last 2 months. So since I decided to come back today, he's decided to take a well-deserved day off. Plus, he's licking the wounds for my Rattlers going down in defeat yesterday in Texas, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Joining me today to co-pilot this first segment with me is Sly, the sports guy. My guy Sly, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Enjoying this great Sunday, man.
Yes, indeed. And don't you think great Sundays come after a great Saturday, my brother?
Oh,
and
yes.
You had the pleasure of being at the homecoming of my alma mater while on your phone, on your iPad, and everything else, trying to keep up with all of the action going on in the SIAC with all the different playoff scenarios, and possibly a little side eye on the CIAA and all, while keeping up with the SWAC and everything else. But they call this homecoming at North Carolina Central the greatest homecoming on earth.
No.
FAMU has its own homecoming. Even, I experienced my first Morehouse homecoming this year, and that was an experience like none other. But I got to take the M off my chest for a minute, off my head, and put back on the TU when I talk about homecoming in the shed with the hill, with all the tailgating and RVs right outside the stadium on the stadium grounds. 47,000 people in a stadium that seats 10,000.
Hey, look at here, Drew. I wanna apologize to the people from Tuskegee. Last year, they said they had 37,000 people in there. And I laughed, Drew. I said, y'all got to be kidding. I said, ain't no way in the world y'all had 37,000 people in that stadium watching that game. I said, that little tiny behind stadium, y'all can't handle 37,000 people. Drew, I want to apologize to all those Golden Tigers out there, because yesterday I saw something I didn't think I would see, man. I'm not gonna lie, man, Drew. I've been to a lot of homecomings. I've been blessed, to go on the homecomings. I've been blessed to call homecomings on different sporting networks, man. Like you said, Spell House. This year I called Clark's homecoming. I called Shaw University's homecoming. I'm from South Carolina, so I've been to Benedict homecoming and been to South Carolina State homecoming my whole life. I got to go to a couple of Howard homecomings, even been to a Hampton homecoming. Man, I done been to more homecomings than I can think of. But Tuskegee homecoming, I don't want to be a prisoner. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. But Tuskegee homecoming, that may be the greatest assemblage of African American people I have ever seen in my life, man. I loved it, man. I'm talking about place jam packed. You driving, people drive the RVs. People drive the RVs, got the RVs parked all around the stadium, the tents on the hills, man. People sitting in their lawn chairs just lined up, man. And everybody friendly. You walking through there. Maybe because I'm really good looking, that everybody was so friendly to me. I had my suit on. I was extra clean. But man, just ran into so many good people, man. I loved it, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I loved it. Tuskegee got my vote. They got my vote.
And I hope you don't mind us bringing up the conversation you and I had last night about your parking fiasco.
Oh, look at that
homecoming.
I got there. Now everybody told me I had a coworker. I was telling my coworker on Friday. I was like, I'm going, to Tuskegee homecoming. And I said, yeah, I'll leave Atlanta probably about 8, 9 o'clock. And I just show up and, I got park. I told him, I said, I got a parking pass. I can park by the stadium. I got a parking pass. And he laughed at me. He didn't even answer. He just laughed. He said, ain't nowhere in the world you going to get there. He said, that parade started at 9. And once that parade started at 9, you ain't getting nowhere close to the campus. And I was like, man, is it like that? He said, it is like that, man. So I left out of Atlanta. Must have been about 7 o'clock or whatever. And I'm trying to get down there in time. And I got to Tuskegee probably about 8:30 Central Time. I got there about 8:45 Central Time. And I'm right on the street I need to go in. And
that's old Montgomery.
Yep. And the security guard is telling me, or the cop is saying, hey, you probably about 10, 15 minutes late. I can't let nobody else down. And so I said, all right, well, let me park. And I parked by that Texaco station. And I got to see the parade. Now I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the parade, man. They had everybody had their float in the parade. And I'll be honest, that's the first parade I done seen in a long time. It's been years since I've seen somebody parade, but they had all the high school bands that came along with them. They even had a band from Illinois. They had a high school from Illinois come down and play and march in the parade, man. It was big time, man. It was big time. I enjoyed it. So, but then I had to walk, but I still had to walk all the way to the stadium. Now, I wasn't happy about that. I wasn't happy about that one, but hey, it was worth it. It was worth it.
Last thing before we get into the game. When the Crimson Pipers play ball and parlay from under the shed.
Well, I've called, just a bunch of Tuskegee games. I've called a bunch of Tuskegee games on TV. But the funny thing I always tell people, I've never called the game inside that stadium. Every time I've called the Tuskegee home game, it's always been at the Crampton Bowl. I've called all the games at the Crampton Bowl, and I called the games when they were on the road. So I've heard ball and parlay. I hear it, but to actually experience it with all those kids over there, and I say kids because I'm old now. College students, young people, whatever you want to call them. To hear all of them going in, salute the big pokey. I mean, it's just, man, it's an experience, man. And I say this all the time on air. I say this all the time on broadcast. I tell people you are not going to a HBCU football game. You're going to a HBCU football experience. And that's what it was, man. It's an experience. But I'm going to tell you what, though. I think anybody who plays Tuskegee, and if they're beating Tuskegee, their band has to play ball and parlay. And I'm going to give it up to the Miles band. Now, the Miles band, the marching purple machine. I forgot what the name of that band is, but their band.
I think it's the purple marching machine.
Marching machine. They did a little rendition of ball and parlay. They did it kind of screwed. They slowed it up. Played it real slow, and at the end they did wah wah wah. At the end, oh man, it was a great sight. It was a great sight. And then toward the end of the game, the Miles homecoming court was on the sideline, and all the gentlemen from the homecoming court, they took their belts off. And you know what the kids do now? They take the belts off to be like they spanking them, be like they spanking some butts. So the Miles homecoming court was standing up on the bleacher with their belts off, spanking them. And then they gave the band director a belt. And then the band director started spanking them while they played ball and parlay. I said, oh, this is the most savage moment ever. The most savage moment ever. My goodness.
See, you shouldn't couple homecoming with a rivalry game.
No,
that's the only thing. Because that's the type of stuff which is cool in a rivalry game. But when it's homecoming, I'm not gonna say it's disrespectful, but it just kind of pisses people off. It pisses the other team off a little bit more when it's homecoming and you're doing that to us. But anyway, unfortunately, at least for the 47,000, probably about 35 of the 47,000 people there, the football game broke out.
Yeah,
and for about 30 to 35,000 of them, it was not a pleasant experience. Matter of fact, I even saw one post on social media and say, hey, we love your brand new scoreboard, Tuskegee, but it looks like only one side of the board is working. Because at that point in time, Miles was winning 17-0. So kind of go back and tell us about the game, if you would, Sly. But I want you to hold your analysis on Miles as a participant in the SIAC championship game. I want you to hold that part of it for right now.
Well, one thing I can say about this game and how this game went along. Yeah, we saw that EA. That was a bad thing. But Miles came out from the beginning and they let everyone know that they are the best team in the SIAC. One analogy or one thing I love to say when I'm calling games, I like to see a team that can smack another team in the mouth. I love to see a team that can punch another team in the face. And that's what it seemed like Miles did. They came out and they just punched Tuskegee in the face. You could see that Miles was a bigger, stronger, and faster team. And that's what they did. They went out there and they just ran straight at him. Gennaro Scott, running back, he was out for a bunch of games during the middle of the season. But he came back 2 weeks ago, and I think he had like 170 yards, and they pulled him out in the third quarter. And then last week against Morehouse, he had 80 yards in the first quarter, and they pulled him out for the rest of the game. So, he was kind of itching to get out there and show what he could do. And that first drive was all him. He was just running straight at him. Bam, bam, bam. He not only was he running with power, he had the elusiveness. He has the craftiness, the quick feet. One of those guys, if you're playing, you couldn't tag him out if you were playing tag in a phone booth. That's how shifty he was, And so he's giving it to him. And then you have Cam Avery. Cam Avery was also hurt a couple of games during the middle of the season, but Cam Avery's been playing a really good year. And this is kind of what a lot of people from Miles wanted out of Cam Avery. They didn't want him to win games for them. They wanted him just not to lose games. And what he was doing, he's showing he was a little bit more than a game manager. You know, he's making the right throws during the game against Tuskegee. That first half, man, he was pinpoint. He was hitting all the little intermediate passes. And bam, bam, short passes. He's hitting them, and he's hitting his receivers, and he's allowing his receivers to not only catch it, he's allowing them to work in space and do something after they catch the ball. The only question a lot of people had, and especially in this game, they tried to throw a couple of 9 routes. 9 routes are the deep. I know I'm not Coach Norman now. I'm not Coach Norman. I'm slow down. But the 9 routes are the deep routes going straight down the field, you know. And he didn't quite have the touch on those 9 routes in the early going. And his receivers had steps on those DBs. But then toward the end of the game, that third quarter, he hooked up. He threw a perfect, I'm talking about a beautiful 9 route down the sideline to show that he could throw that route, man. Cam Ivory, he looked really, really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Ivory on the day was 14-23 for $147 with 2 touchdowns, no INTs, but Miles as a team on the ground. And I love this, you know, they were even suited. They gave the ball to whoever wanted to carry the mail on yesterday. 47 rushing attempts for 267 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Tuskegee, on the other hand, Raekwon Beal was 14 of 22 for $117, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs, and Tuskegee on the ground. Lord Jesus, what happened here? 15 attempts for 17 yards. Please, because I didn't have a chance to watch the game, break that part down.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. Exactly what happened was that front 4 from Miles, the front 4 plus the 2 linebackers. They are mean. They are mean. They're tough and they're big. That's what happened. Those guys didn't take. That front 4 every snap. They ended up pushing. They ended up pushing the Tuskegee offensive line a yard in the backfield. They were doing it every snap. And that's the strength of this Miles team. And they showed it. They showed it yesterday. They were just punching that offensive line for Tuskegee, for the Tuskegee in their mouth. They couldn't do anything. They could not do anything against that front 4 from Miles, man. Those guys. And then that linebacker, they got a linebacker, Yafunde. He's a freshman. He is a sideline to sideline kid. He's a kid. I'm talking about it. He's laying the lumber. He's hitting people. They got another freshman over there, and this guy, they got a true freshman, Keith Green. I stopped calling him Keith Green. I started calling him Mr. Green. That's how intimidating this young man is. He's a freshman. He's about 6'3", 6'4", at least 260, and he played basketball in high school. Thank you, Coach Norman. He played basketball in high school, and he ended up tearing up his knee in January. I'm not sure if it was ACL or MCL. I don't know what he did, but he hurt his knee, and they thought they was going to have to redshirt him this football season. But he worked his way back around, and he was healthy enough to play probably about the 3rd or the 4th game. And he just came on. He's played, I want to say he's played 6 games, and he has 6 or 5 sacks. I'm not sure if he has 6. He may have 6 sacks. But the kid he's an athlete. He's big. I know against Clark, he knocked down 3 balls. He jumped up and knocked down 3 balls on the offensive line. I mean, from the defensive line. But he is a beast, man. And that front 4 from Miles, they dominated yesterday. They just dominated.
Yeah. So you talked about Miles now. You obviously you were on the broadcast. What were you going through as you were? I know you were monitoring scores while you were up there. So as you're starting to see different scores come in from around the SIAC, you know, Clark Atlanta jumped out on Morehouse early. Morehouse tried to make a run of it in the second half in the 4th quarter. You know, you had the Fountain City Classic, which speaking of things, we're not talking about homecoming, but if you haven't been to the Fountain City Classic slide, and I'm pretty sure you have, you know, Fountain City Classic is probably probably right behind the Magic City. As far as well, let's think about it. City, Magic City, two rivals, same situation. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into that part of it right now. But you got the Fountain City Classic going on, so all these dominoes needed to fall behind Miles. Miles was good. Everybody else was still playing cards. They were still in the card game. And then, depending on what happened, you still had the Edward Waters Allen game, which had nothing to do with the standings per se, except if Allen beats Edward Waters and one of those tiebreakers, about the 5th, 6th tiebreaker that you needed to figure all this stuff out, that game actually was significant. So as you're in the booth, what's going on in your mind and what are you telling the people?
Well, it's funny, man, because with so many people there, your cell phone coverage wasn't great. All right. So, it was spotty at best. So I had my laptop on one side, and during the game, I'm usually looking at the live stats on my laptop, and I can go and see whatever game they have that's going on. I can check out all the games from my laptop, but my internet was super slow on my laptop. So I had to take out my phone. I got my personal phone right here trying to pull up the Fountain City Classic, and then I have my work phone. I'm trying to keep up to date with the Morehouse and the Clark score, and then my computer. I got Twitter on my computer, trying to follow along with Twitter, trying to get whatever update I can get in, man. And it was now. I will give a shout out to Gulf Sports, the production company who handled our game. They actually handled the production for our game, the Fountain City Classic, and for the AME Zion Classic. So what the producer did, he did a great job of cutting in live to the Fountain City Classic. Now he didn't bring the Edward Waters Allen game up, but once we saw Tuskegee didn't really have a chance, so we didn't really too much care about the Tuskegee, the Edward Waters Allen game. But he did a great job of just cutting in on that Fountain City Classic so we could actually see the game in real time. And then every so often he would flick, we would go live. If you watch the replay, you can see, it cutting over to the Fountain City Classic in the little picture-in-picture. So that was kind of a way I got to keep up with that score, man. But this is one of the things I love what Commissioner Holloman did when he got rid of the East-West brackets, when he got rid of the East-West divisions, because there's so many times where, the East would be overloaded and all the talent would be in the East, or maybe the West was overloaded, and all the talent was in the West. So you got a team that's undefeated, playing a team that might barely have a winning record in the championship game, and it's just an ugly game. But now with no divisions, you truly have the best two teams playing. So that last week really, really means a lot, man. And it came down to last year was the first year without the divisions, and that last week really meant something. And now this year, the last week really meant something. And so you have, people who didn't go to the game, you got that ESPN Plus app, you're flipping back and forth, you're watching.
Assuming your internet works.
Yeah, assuming your internet works. You're watching this Tuskegee game. Now, once that Tuskegee Miles game got out of hand, then you probably went straight over to Fountain City and you stayed at the Fountain City. But all these games meant something. And Drew, I just got this in, Drew. Miles just scored again. They just scored again.
Oh my goodness, man. Well, since you got jokes today, I want to quickly flip over, and I just sent that to you, Sly, so that you can take a look at what I told you I was going to say it to you. The other game of consequence was the Clark Atlanta Morehouse game in the Big Cat Classic. And I'm trying to pull up the stats from yesterday. And unfortunately, they are not online yet. We've been having some trouble getting the stats uploaded to the website. But I got a little inside scoop on these stats, Slide.
There you go. I know you do. You do.
And speaking of shout outs and production, I want to send a shout out to a local radio station here in Atlanta, the King 105.5 on the FM dial and 1010 on the AM dial, for picking up our game audio wise when we couldn't get because the game wasn't picked up by the conference to be streamed. So we had to do the game via radio, and I want to give them a shout out for picking that game up for us at the last minute. Clark 28, Morehouse 17. Here's the interesting stat that I want you to know from this particular game, Sly, and I pointed it out to you. David Wright, 18 of 29, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. Everybody see that, right? Everybody see that. I'm not stopping you. That's 5 INTs. 5 INTs. I got newsflash for you, but I got a bold prediction for you, Sly. If David Wright throws 5 INTs against Miles next week, Miles gonna put up 70.
Yeah. And I hate it for that young man because of the season and everything he's been having, for him to end the season, the regular season, the way he did. What happened with that type of game, putting up those type of numbers, not even throwing for 200 yards, 5 interceptions, that kind of takes him out of every conversation when we start to talk about National Player of the Year. Especially Division II HBCU National Player of the Year. He's running a race with Jada Byers. And that type of performance kind of takes you out of that conversation, putting up 5 interceptions against Morehouse. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but it was against Morehouse. I told people all the time, if Morehouse plays Spelman, I'm taking Spelman plus. I'm taking Spelman giving away points. That's just what it is.
That hurt. But question for you, Sly. You say he's now officially out of the National Player of the Year race.
Mm-hmm.
Does he still win SIAC Player of the Year?
And the way Isaiah Knowles has been playing of late, it's going to be a question. It's going to be a question for Isaiah Knowles. I don't think anyone else in the conference has put up any type of numbers that would compete with him. You see the lights at the end of the tunnel image. That might be a train you see coming about to run him over. You better be careful about those lights in it. But I think the start that he got off to will keep him high enough to where he will probably win Player of the Year in the SIAC. But Isaiah Knowles has put up some really, really good numbers himself. So that will be a huge question. That'll be a huge question. I think he has my vote. David Wright has my vote, but does my vote really matter?
Not when we turn those ballots in this week. Not when we turn those ballots in, my brother. But Emmett says he sees a light at the end of the tunnel for Morehouse and Terrence Mathis. Sly, I want you to think back to 2 years ago with this Miles team, when Coach Sam Shade came in. 1-9 Miles. Good defense Miles. Offensively challenged Miles.
But I'm gonna tell you.
Let me finish. I'm gonna let you get it. I covered that Miles team that year. I have had the pleasure of working for Morehouse this year. I see a lot of similarities between the two, because looking at Morehouse. Morehouse has played great defensive games this year. They at one point in time, I think they still do. They lead the conference in safeties, which means you have to have something defense. They had 2 people named Defensive Player of the Week in the conference. So there's potential there on defense. Now, the offense has been challenged. I'll open it up to you.
I don't see the comparison, and this is why I don't think there is much of a comparison. The Miles 1-9 team. The reason they were 1-9 is because Ruffin
He
left.
took everybody with him.
And he took I don't even know if he left any footballs. He might have took everything from Miles when he left.
Well,
Yeah.
But Matthews didn't have a lot there when he got there.
But here's the difference. Miles had already had a winning tradition. Miles had already been to the championship game or in contention for the championship game for at least 8 or 9 years in a row prior. So you already have that winning pedigree there. All right. And so the kids that you're recruiting in, they're thinking, hey, Miles is a winner. They just had a bad year. If I come in, I can come in and I can make them a winner. I can bring them back to where they are. Morehouse, you don't have that. Morehouse is never won. Let's just be honest. 91 was the last time I think they. I don't know when they won a SIAC title, to be honest with you. It's easier to count how many games they've won. You know, if you're trying to go back and when the last time they was in contention. So you have no pedigree. You have no winning pedigree. And then you let's just say you start from the top down. You had Dr. French as the president at Miles. So now you have a president who cares about winning. He cares about having a good football team. I'm not sure about the administration at Morehouse. I don't know if they actually care.
Well, you do have the benefit of a new president will be coming to the House next year as Dr. Johnson is retiring after this season. So, you know, maybe that'll be one of the things when the new president comes in, he'll be more, you know, more like a Dr. French when it comes to athletics.
And another difference with that Miles team, if you look at the coaching staff that Miles has NFLers on that coaching staff. They have two college football Hall of Famers on that staff. And so if you're an 18-year-old, 19, 20-year-old guy and you're coming, you have a coach saying, hey, I'm a head coach. I played in the NFL. They got that with Terrence Mathis. And
you got Bob Whitfield coaching O-line.
And Bob Whitfield coaching O-line. But it stops right there. Now, go back to Miles. They got Sam Shade. Sam Shade played in the NFL. You got Antonio Latham. You know, you got all those guys from University of Alabama on this coaching staff. I think they have 8 NFL guys. I'm not sure. I think it's 8 NFL guys, guys with NFL experience on the coaching staff. That means a lot when you're talking to an 18-year-old. That means a lot when you're talking to an 18-year-old. So that, you know, I don't think that they're quite the same when that. And then my other thing with Morehouse, and the reason, you know, hopefully I don't get kicked off of Morehouse campus. They don't let me. They let me back on the campus after I say this. But Morehouse,
your credentials count on this comment now.
Okay. But I don't think that Morehouse will ever have a football team that matters. And the reason I say that is because the type of student that you have to get into Morehouse, you have to be a student. To be honest, you have to be a student first.
I can't disagree with you on that.
To get into Morehouse, you have to be a particular type of kid to get into Morehouse. And people don't want to admit this, but those particular kind of kids don't really win you a lot of football games. You could have You can have a bunch of them on your team, but you're going to need some people who can barely spell their name if you want a good football team. Let's just be honest. Read needs to be secondary sometime when you're trying to find a good football player.
Read the defense is primary.
I need you to know how to read a defense. I don't need you to know how to read Oliver Twist, So, but it sounds harsh, but you do need a couple of those kids if you want to have a great football team. And you won't ever have that type of kid on Morehouse campus. It just won't. So I don't think Morehouse will ever be a winner in football. Now, basketball is a different story. Basketball players, you get away with basketball players. You can have, then that's what I love what Coach Whitler does with that basketball team. That basketball, Coach Whitler's a good coach. He's a really good coach. So that helps out a lot too. That helps out a lot, the fact that he's a really good coach. But yeah, football, you're gonna need a couple of. You need the admission staff to be a little bit lenient on some of your offensive linemen and defensive linemen getting into school.
Gotcha. All right, Sly. I know you got another podcast coming up. I believe at the top of the hour. Mm-hmm. So I want to give you the floor so you can make your final comments, and then also let everybody know where they can follow you at. And you got any games upcoming, or we in the off season waiting on some basketball calls?
I think I'm waiting on basketball. I got some basketball coming up, but football, I think I am done unless we get a few high school all-star games come up. Or I retired from high school football because my son's playing football, so my Friday nights are full. I can't call any more Friday night games. But other than that, I'm pretty much done. On the college. I'm pretty much done on football. Oh yeah, WSS Ram Nation. Yeah, I got a coach's show, the Coach Teddy Keaton Show. Be sure to check us out. We record every Monday night, and we usually release it either late Monday night or early Tuesday morning. So the Coach Teddy Keaton Show on HBCU Game Day. Check us out. You can find me at Slider Sports Guy on any platform. Slider Sports Guy. I'm more active on Twitter. I need to start doing some stuff on Instagram. But yeah, you can find me. And I guess my little thing coming up this weekend, I'm gonna be in Fairfield checking out this championship game. Clark taking on Miles. I think it should be a good game, and we're gonna find out quick, fast, and in a hurry what type of game it's going to be. When Miles blew out Clark last game, I call that game, and they blew out Clark last time. The way that Miles scored, they scored on a pick six. They scored on a block punt in the end zone. They had a touchdown drive of 30 yards, a touchdown drive of 14 yards, and a touchdown drive of 31 yards. So you give a team that short of a field, you get two special teams touchdowns or a turnover for a touchdown, they're usually going to win. So what happens if they can cut out those simple mistakes? If Clark can cut out some of those simple mistakes, they're going to give Miles a run for their money. But the thing is, judging by what I saw from David Wright yesterday, I don't know if he improved any of those simple mistakes. And Miles is a tough team. That defense is just so strong up front. And Coach Norman can attest to this. When you can get pressure from your front four and you don't have to blitz anyone, it will cause havoc on a passing team, because now you can have 7 people in the coverage. You will have 7 people in the coverage covering 5 eligible receivers. So now you have that numbers advantage. And if you can do that, if you can get pressure with that front four, man, it's going to be a long night for whatever offense you're playing. And I think that's what Miles does a really good job of doing. Coach Sam Shea, he has that defense, he has them running and running really, really well. So my head says Miles by 14. My heart says Clark by 3. We'll see.
Quickly. Any prediction in the CIAA Virginia State, Virginia Union in the rematch?
That ought to be a good one right there, because I did not see Virginia State beating Virginia Union. I did not see it happening. As good as Virginia Union was, and especially after putting up 91 against Bluefield, I thought they were going to come on in and just run through Virginia State.
They should have put up 78 and held them 2 touchdowns for this game.
But when it's a rivalry game, anything can happen in a rivalry game. Anything can happen when you got 2 teams that don't like each other and they play each other. Anything can happen. But in the rematch, I see Jada Byers getting off. I think Jada Byers is going to get off. I think it's going to be his last game, his last CIAA game. And I see Jada Byers easily. I see him easily going over 160 this game. He'll go over 160 this game, and he'll probably have about 3 touchdowns. He may get close to that 200-yard mark. I think he has a point to prove this game.
All right. There he is, Sly the Sports Guy. You can catch him all over the place when it comes to HBCU sports. Calling whatever would give him a check. I already know, and I hate to call you out like that, but whatever would give him a check. No, he does a great job calling games. He's one of the better talents that I have worked with. We've worked together for a couple of different games. He's been the play-by-play. I know when to get step to seat number 2. I don't have a problem being the color analyst. I think I've done basketball and football.
Yep.
If I remember correctly. But it's all good. Sly the Sports Guy, catch him on HBCU Game Day, Coach Teddy Keaton Show, and a few other places. So we appreciate you, my brother. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thank you. Coming up after the break, Coach Farasi Norman is going to step in a little bit early because my second guest couldn't make it today. We're going to go over the scores from this past weekend and talk. We're gonna get to the SWAC, y'all. Don't worry. I know we're gonna get to the SWAC. We're gonna get to the BAC, y'all. But I had to start with the SIAC. You are watching the BCSN SportsWrap. AD piloting the ship today. Brian's on assignment today. Thanks to Sly the Sports Guy. We'll be right back.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
We're back here on the BCSN SportsWrap. AD piloting the ship day. Hey, Coach Norman. Coach Norman joining me. Coach Norman.
What's up,
Yes, I can hear you, man. I sent my fax into the office, like Jordan did in 95. Nobody got it, man. Nobody knew I was coming back today, man.
Hey, glad to see you back in the driver's seat, my friend. You were missed. Shout out real quickly to my man BF, Brian Fulford. I know you're not feeling very well, brother, but don't worry about it. Me and AD got the show. Aloha to the 808.
All right. Just got a text in.
What they say? I'm wanted. I thought I paid
that. Keep something in mind. If I become your agent, I get 3%, bro.
Okay. We're gonna make it happen this year, though.
All right. Let me send this text. All right.
How much time we got? Do I got my regular 30, or do we got the rest of the time?
We got a little bit extra time since guest number 2.
I can take my shoes off. I'm at home now. I ain't just passing through. I'm at home now.
Right. Yeah. Guest number 2 didn't show up. They had to cancel on me. They didn't make it home in time. So I just bumped you up, man. I know you always watching. I know I can always shoot you a text. Slide it back over. There you go. Cut your face off. There we go, my brother.
Yeah. I just see that handsome devil right there.
There you go. Let's go with some scores, Coach, and stop me anytime you want to talk about some of these scores and some of these games. We'll start off with place where I work. Clark defeated Morehouse 28-17. You just heard me and Sly talk about that game. Lane, in a non-conference matchup, defeated Lincoln of Missouri 41-28. Keep going down. We're in the SIAC right now. Allen went down to Edward Waters 33-28 in a game that was called by our very own Brian Fulford. I mean, he pulling prima donna on me now, man. He done worked the game on the full letter. Now he don't want to show up for work.
Hey, I can't give him that tag always working like I do with you.
No, Brian took the purposeful day. I'm not bad at it. And here's the one. Some people were shocked. Some people were not shocked. Fountain City Classic, Albany State 20, Fort Valley State 15. Let's dive deep inside this game for a minute. Fort Valley State, Kelvin Duane, 19-33, 331 yards, 1 tutty through 3 picks. His counterpart, Isaiah Knowles, for Albany State was 15-26 for $150, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. On the ground, Brandon Marshall, 26 attempts for 55 yards for Fort Valley State. And receiving, Dejon Bell had 7 catches for 107 yards for Fort Valley. And Brandon Marshall out the backfield, 4 catches, 71 yards. Jamie Hampton had 4 catches for 71 yards. Dejon Bell did have a touchdown. I forgot to add that in as I went down his stats for Albany State.
Real quickly, that kid Brandon Marshall is he, not to cut you off? Is that kid Brandon Marshall? Is he a senior? Because I hear his name a lot. He's a player.
No, I believe he's like a junior. I think he still has another year of eligibility.
My next question was, is he getting elected for the Legacy Bowl? Because I'm like, I hear his name every week, and he putting up some numbers. I'm like, we got to get him in that game.
Him and Durham are 1 year apart. I can't remember which one has been there longer, but I know they're a year behind. a year behind each other. Tiant Watch for Albany State led the Golden Rams in rushing, had 8 rushes for 32 yards. Johnny Thomas had 8 rushes for 29 yards. And Isaiah Knowles, 13 attempts for 12 yards, but we all know how to go when the quarterback gets sacked, it comes off his rushing stats. Receiving for Albany State, Xavier Herndon, 2 catches, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Kristen Grant had 2 catches, 24 yards for 1 touchdown. Javion Jackson, 5 catches, 50 yards. And Jamil Williams had 5 catches for 39 yards. I know you them are the stats you want to hear. You want to hear the defensive stat. Leading the way for Fort Valley, KJ Spence had 6 tackles, including 1 sack for Fort Valley to lead the way. And for Albany State, Abraham Flinkstead led the way defensively with 7 tackles, 1 TFL, that's tackle for loss, y'all who don't know football lingo, and a forced fumble. And Akil Lampley also had 7 tackles, including 1 tackle for loss. And guess who recovered the fumble that was forced by Klingscale? That would be one Lampley who recovered the fumble right there, Coach Norman. So did that score shock you though? The fact that I know you didn't get a chance to watch that game, but did that shock you, the fact that Albany State was able to defeat Fort Valley State?
Not really, because I know this. Albany State has a good coach in Quentin. What's his name? Quentin. Help me out. Quentin Gray. That's his name, the head coach. Yeah, and you know he's an ex-FAMU guy. You know, and he's an NFL quarterback. So I knew they were going to throw the ball. When you were saying those numbers, all those catches and yards in the air and everything like that, I'm like, that sounds like the kind of team he has. So nothing really surprised me when it comes to that guy. He's a good coach. You know, I've never met him personally. I know a couple people who played for him in high school. They spoke very highly of him. So no, I wasn't really surprised with that score. I know he's going to always get his team prepared to play.
All right, finishing up with the SIAC, Kentucky State 24, Central State 14. Miles came in and took over homecoming, made it a homegoing for the Golden Tigers, defeating them 37-7. Day when the lights came on, and Savannah State 27. Benedict 35, Savannah State 27. And I do have to back this up when I talk about the Tuskegee Miles game. Unfortunately, after homecoming, Coach Norman, 47,000 people in the stadium, probably another 15, 20,000 outside the stadium, 60, 65,000 people on campus. 47,000 people in the stadium that seats 10,000. We're not gonna get into that. I'll talk about that on a different podcast. But unfortunately, there was a tragic shooting. Looks like from the video I showed that the shooting actually may have happened on campus. Don't know if it involved a TU student or not. But the fact that you can have 50,000 people and one thing goes wrong.
That's a shame.
One thing
goes. You got people that look like us. You know, we always get associated with gun violence and negativity. They always say anytime you get a large crowd of minorities, let's just be real about it, blacks. Some people like to say the N-word. Anytime you get a whole bunch of them ends, it's always going to be something. We got to get past that. I mean, it's 2024, really, and that's sad for something like that to happen. I seen earlier in the chat where it said one guy got hit, but several others got sent to the hospital or something. And tears came to my eyes. I'm thinking, wow, we had a football game. And we acted like we in Compton. And nothing against Compton. I got partners in Compton, but I'm just saying we know that it's known for violence out there. But I'm just saying we have to get past that, especially on a yard, a campus, education. We sending kids to school to get educated so they can move into the world, become doctors, lawyers, presidents. And we had that type of situation take place. So my heart goes out to the people that got hurt and went to the hospital. But to the people that did that, I hope you get punished. I really, really do. And I hate to see that. Hopefully it wasn't a black man, but hey, who knows what it was. But if it was, I hope you get punished because that wasn't cool, brother. Sister, whoever it was, that was not cool at all.
A white person with a gun in Tuskegee, Alabama would have stuck out like a sore thumb on that campus. I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has been on that campus for many years. So,
Ed, real quickly, Ed, I seen what you said. No, that's not a receipt, brother. Remember last week I said I was going to talk about my passing game. Hopefully my man give me a couple minutes to get on the board, but no, that's not a receipt. That's what I do well to get picked up. You know, so if you know somebody out there looking for a coach, let them holler at me. I'm ready.
I got you. I got you.
Well, hold on. It might be a receipt because that's how I get paid.
Might
be a receipt because that's how I get paid.
Yeah, we gonna talk. We gonna get about to that in a little bit, Coach Norman. But yeah, unfortunate, tragic, and like it normally is. It's not student on student. It's not. It has nothing to do with alumni. A lot of times, incidents like these that occur on our campuses because we open our campuses up to the community. We want to be a part of the community. We want the community to embrace our campus, our student athletes, our students, our faculty, our staff on our campuses. And when you open up your campuses, unfortunately, things happen. And it's just not at Tuskegee or at HBCUs. It happens all over. Matter of fact, Coach Norman, I want to put a pin in that because somebody who was there at the incident, I didn't bring him on here to talk about that, but he's in the back room, and I know he has some strong feelings about the institution that both he and I graduated from, and that being Mr. Kendrick Hooks. You guys know him as D2 HBCU football guy. And, you know, I just want to thank him for joining us today. What's going on, Ken?
Nothing much. How you doing? Happy homecoming to you.
Yeah. No, it wasn't, man. Hold on. Full disclosure. My first alma mater, FAMU, went to Texas and lost yesterday. My second alma mater, you was there. You saw what happened. And the HBCU that I work at lost yesterday. No, I'm gonna take it another step further.
Okay.
A HBCU that I used to work at, that being Lincoln, Missouri, lost yesterday. Bro, I'm 0 for 4 right now. I'm bad. Look, don't touch me right now. Don't come nowhere near me, man. But go ahead, my brother. The floor is yours.
Yeah, man. As you can see, I got a guest that wants to be on camera with me today. He feeling needed. But anyway, yeah, you know, it was a rough day. But I think those of us who watched the SIAC, it was pretty much expected from the Tuskegee Miles game. I expected the team to have a little bit more fight. I'm not used to this finesse type of ski team that I've been seeing this season. I'm used to a ski team that, you know, you get in a knockout fight, you get hit in the mouth, you come back out and you punch them. But this team is a little different, you know, a different mindset around this team. So it was interesting. It was a really nice event. You know, I think there are a lot of events going on at the same time. And I just, when I came up, I heard y'all was talking. Look, I'm going to put you out. Yeah, I just hate the events that occurred after, just marred it, you know, being our centennial year. Just an unfortunate, you know, turn of events. I'll say that.
All right. I know you were there at the game, but there were other games that were going on around the SIAC that had implications. So as you're starting, when you could get cell service, because I know the cell towers down there are not built to handle that many people in one area. Exactly. When you was able to get cell service, what's going through your mind as you start seeing the scores? Clark jumps out to an early lead. Then Morehouse tries to walk him down. Clark holds on for the victory, and then you've got Albany State and Fort Valley going back and forth with each other, with Albany State being able to hold on to that particular game. What's going through your mind as you're seeing these scores pop in?
So I didn't see a single score until after I left Tuskegee for a minute to just do a slight wardrobe change. I
had to go get fly, man. We understand, bro.
And so when I left, I think I started getting messages, and pretty much, to be honest with you, all the games went the way I thought they were. I felt Albany State was going to beat Fort Valley. It was just one of those things that I felt like the one weakness that Fort Valley has, I felt like Albany State was a team that could exploit that weakness that they had. I just, this whole year in the conference has just been about matchups, because these teams are not far apart. You just look at the records. You look at a Savannah State that's 8 points from being, a contender in the SIC championship game. So I mean, all these teams just have these issues where they are really close in parity with each other. And so when I looked at the Morehouse game, I think I was close that it was that close, but then I felt like Morehouse was going to come out and play. It's a rivalry game. All of them just kind of, to me, this week was just whoever shows up week to me. So I wasn't really shocked. I was shocked at the score in the Albany State Fort Valley game. I really thought that was going to be a high scoring game. I thought that game was going to get to the 40s and 50s, because I felt like defense was just one of the areas that both those teams have struggled at this season. And I expected Kelvin Durham to come out there and light them up, but it didn't happen that way Saturday. So it is what it is. Clark has had one of those Cinderella seasons. And I think Keaton struck gold at leaving and going for Clark Atlanta at the time that he did. And so, they right there in the championship game. So we get the rematch with Clark Atlanta and Miles College.
Yeah. Now, Coach Norman.
Yes, sir.
Since we're talking about the rematch between these two institutions, you've been in that situation before where you've had to coach a team against a team twice in the same year. What do you do, especially if you're the team that won? Do you do what you did the last time that got you the victory, or do you make the adjustments and quote unquote try to? Because I know he's gonna be looking for this. Now I'm gonna do this over here. How do you approach a game like this from both sides, Coach?
You go back through and you break down the film, okay? And you see what you did right, you see what you did wrong. Whatever you did right, you don't want to show again, because you already know he's going to be looking for that. And whatever you did wrong, you want to get better at that. So, for example, let's say Coach Norman, I'm playing AD Drew, and you already know you saw me run the ball 40 times the first game. Well, buddy, I'm going to come out and I'm just going to throw the ball. I'm going to give you something that you're not even going to be expecting. You're going to be, Norman, he runs the ball. Everybody knows this. I'm going to come out and double 2x2, 3x1. I'm going to do something that you haven't seen before, at least for the first half, to try to throw you off. And then I'll get back to what I'm regularly doing. But I need to come out and give him 1-2 jab, maybe that haymaker, just to loosen you up and knock you down, just so you'll know, okay, he's giving me something different, so you can make your adjustments. And when you make your adjustments, I'm going to go back to what I did the first time to get you ready. So now you're still wondering what I'm doing. But, that's you, because like you say, no one really likes to play someone twice. I know Virginia and Virginia State got to replay each other again. I was scratching my head like, didn't they just play? But those are two great coaches, great teams. They get a lot of fan support. But I'm thinking, wow. But anyway, to continue answering your question, AD, yeah, you go back through, you watch the film, you break it down, and whatever you did wrong, correct it. Whatever you did right, put it on the back burner. Come up with something new. Because he's going to be looking, that coach is going to be looking at what you did right, thinking, once again, I'm going to use me. Coach Norman, everybody knows, Coach Norman likes to run the ball. So I'm going to come out and throw the ball the first half. Really, I'm going to come out on a 2-minute offense, a 3x2, 2x2, whatever I got to do to throw you off, to put some points on the board. Then I'll come back to that double tight I formation, what I'm going to do to just run the clock out that second half. But yeah, you don't want to show him what you did the first half, because he's going to be making those corrections. He's a head coach. He's smart. He's got good coordinators. Hopefully he's got a good coaching staff. But if not, it's his job to make those corrections on both sides, offense, defense, special teams. So no, I would never show anybody anything that I did the first time. That first half, you're going to see something totally different. And if it's working, I'm going to stay with it until the fourth quarter. Then I'm just going, then I'm going to be me. I'm going to run that ball. But yeah, I'm going to come out and just chunk it.
Now, if I'm Coach Sam Shade, I'm 8-0 in this conference for a reason. And what has got me to 8-0, I am going to do it until somebody stops me. Yeah, am I smart enough to know you're going to be scheming to stop it? if my bread and butter play is I'm just trying to think. I'm just gonna say 24 dive. If that's my bread and butter play, or go belly, or you know, or belly left, belly right. You know, everybody know what I'm talking about. At least Coach Norman know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But if that's my bread and butter play, I'm still going to go to it. Now, my tendency may have been I ran it to the left side 70% of the time the first time we played. I'm going to run that same play, except I'm going to the right side probably more often, probably to get a little bit 50-50 bounce. But I am fundamentally not going to change what I did to beat you, especially the way that I beat you. If I beat you dropping 7 into coverage or dropping 8 into coverage, I'm going to drop 8 into coverage again. If I beat you bringing the extra man, I'm going to bring that extra man again until you show me that you can stop it. Now, I'm smart enough to know I've got the game plan for when you stop it. We're going to practice on plan B, but we're going to stay with A until you prove me that you can't stop A.
I always take every coach to be a genius, AD. So everything you're saying is correct. True enough. Everything you're saying, some people saying, I ain't changing nothing. I'm going to do what got me. I'm 8-0. What they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Hey, that's fine. I'm talking about Farasi Norman. If I'm playing you and I showed you double tight I formation, I ran the ball 50 times, you're not seeing that till late third, early fourth quarter. I'm going to give you something totally different that you're not working on because you're going to be your coaches, your players will be working on that while me and my guys are working on something totally different. The name of the game is win the game. What my man say, you play to win the game.
Now, Ken, Coach Norman gave you his coaching philosophy on this. I done gave you my coach's philosophy on this. What are we going to see next week, my brother?
I think one of the things you got to go back to what that matchup looked like the first time. I've had conversation with both those coaches, and on one side, when you look at Clark and Leonard, they just feel like they just make some mistakes to lose that game. They get a block punt and 2 interceptions, pick 6. It was them. And you start kind of look towards the end of that game, and Miles just started playing, you know what? This game could get dangerous, so let's just hold the ball, snap it one. Miles started playing hold the football, and let's just get out of here with a win towards the end of that game once Clark and Leonard kind of got some things figured out. The other part to this is we're in Division II football, so we also know our rosters, they're limited, and everybody's beat up this time of year. Everybody's beat up. Miles is beat up. Clark Atlanta is beat up. So yeah, you look at this, the turnaround time of them having to play, just having for Clark Atlanta having, a physical game against Morehouse, and the emotional high that Miles is on to come down and beat us on our homecoming. You got to take that into consideration too. Now, do I think that Miles is the better team? Just size-wise, strength-wise, I just think they're the better team. But Clark Atlanta is the more opportunistic team. There is a clash of styles. Miles is a 3-4 yards, cloud of dust type of team. Clark Atlanta is a team we want to score in a minute, right? So it kind of bodes well. I think for Clark Atlanta, one of the things they have to do, they have to get off to a fast start. They got to be able to protect the quarterback, which Miles' defensive line is the best in the conference. They're nasty, and that freshman that's on that defensive line like that, he gets in there and he just causes chaos up front. And so the thing is, for Clark, if Clark gets up 2 points, 2 scores on Miles, then Miles is not really built to overcome deficits. That's just not their offense. So I think the game plan for Clark Atlanta has to be to come out and be really aggressive at front and just kind of get in the head. That's the same thing they did in Tuskegee, try to steal a possession. Tuskegee is kind of built similar to Miles as far as that, running the ball, don't really have the deep pass and attack threat. Can't really score fast. There was a drive in the second quarter that against Clark Tuskegee had that ate up 9 minutes on the clock. Miles Saturday, they had a second quarter drive that at least ate up 10, almost 11 minutes of the clock. Just drove the ball down, and didn't even get any points out of it, but just drove it down. And so for Clark Atlanta, if they can just get out in front, steal a possession somewhere, I think you'll kind of put Miles behind the 8 ball. So I'm not expecting too much of a change wise. Yeah, they may throw a few wrinkles in there. I mean, because it's Teddy Keaton. This is a Teddy Keaton offense. So, you know, they got some stuff up their sleeve. They can do that. I don't think Miles is really built to just be that creative. They just want to bully you around. Miles just want to lean on you, push you around up front. So I don't expect Miles to change much because they should be able to move Clark Atlanta a while. So we see a lot of different stuff. I would expect to see it from the Clark Atlanta side because I think they know that they are a little undermanned in that game.
All right, Ken. I'm not going to ask you to predict a winner or a loser in the game. But I am going to ask you this question. We've seen what Benedict did by winning the SIAC, number 1 seed the second time they won it, and still get kicked out the playoffs in the first round. We saw previously Albany State go to the playoffs. I think the last SIAC team that won a game in the playoffs was Tuskegee back in 2016, if I've got my Wayback Machine working right. So SIAC has not had a lot of success in the playoffs. Which of these two teams is built for success in the Division II playoffs? Ken first, and I'm going to ask you to jump in behind him, Coach Norman.
To be completely honest with you, I think the team that was best built for the playoffs is going to be sitting at home Saturday in Fort Valley. I think they're the better holistic team. You look at that Delta State game. Now, don't get me wrong. Miles has also played a really tough West Alabama team, but Miles is going that kicking their special teams cost them games. It is how they have to kick the ball off. It is their point after attempts. I mean, I think they probably have the most missed point after attempts in the conference. It cost them the game at West Alabama with 6, I think, number 2 in the region. They make 1 point after attempt, they tie the game. If they make both of their point after attempts, they win the game. And so, to me, I think point after attempts is so big when it gets to talking about playoff time because you're talking about teams that's not just going to sit back and cover zero and just let you do what you want to do. Like, you're talking about teams that probably is going to be able to get pressure with their front four against your offensive line. So, Clark Atlanta, I don't think they're there for a championship game. It depends on the matchup for them. But if they come across one of those teams with defenses like Valdosta State, we've seen that a strong defense can kind of stifle Clark Atlanta. I think offensively they have the octane. Defensively, no. So Miles is out of the two. Miles is going to be the best bet, but it's also going to be matched up against Miles, right? If you run up against one of those high octane offenses and it takes you a while to kind of get going the way that, Miles gets going, it's going to be a long day for them as well. So it's going to be a matchup, but definitely Miles over Clark Atlanta being a better playoff team.
What about you, Coach?
I'm gonna go the opposite way. I'm gonna go with Clark Atlanta. Reason 1, defense. Clark Atlanta's defense, LC Cole. That brother's got a head full of knowledge. He's been coaching a long, long time. So he knows how to break you down. He knows how to scheme you. He knows how to put people in the right position. My brother, Mr. Hooks, just said this time of year, everybody's hurting. So he knows how to rotate 2s and 3s. We ain't worried about 1s. We got to rotate 2s and 3s. And I believe that LC Cole knows how to do that. Once again, he's been coaching a long time. Then Coach Keaton. I mean, just look at his resume. Everywhere he's been, he's always had a top offense. I mean, he's got the little 5'9" quarterback. Last year you were trying to sell me on him, and I wasn't sold until I saw him. I said, whoa, okay. Yeah, I know he threw 5 picks last week. We all had that bad game.
Threw 5 picks yesterday.
I got no doubt that he's going to come back because I know it's in him to be better than what that was last week. And I know he's got a coach that's going to say, hey, look, buddy, we're here. This is why we came over here. This is why we left Allen to come here. So I think that this game's going to come down to coaching. This time of year, once again, Mr. Hooks is right. We're beat up. So now I need my coach to lead me. I got players. I got 2s and 3s. They understand what we're doing. So I'm going with the defense with LC Cole. I believe that man's a genius. He's going to come up with some good stuff. And I believe Coach Keaton on that offense side is going to put a plan together. Obviously it's going to be in the air. We know that. He ain't put it on the ground. That's not what he does. He ain't Farasi Norman. So, but I believe that Coach Keaton he's done a lot. Beat a D1. And even though the D1 wasn't very good, still, he beat a D1. That says a lot right there. So I got Clark moving forward. None against Miles. I know they're doing a great job. I know Sam Shade's name been mentioned for other jobs in the state. Him and his coaching staff, they do a great job down there, but I got Clark.
All right. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen the scores from not only SIAC but the CIAA. Last week we had 4 teams in the top 10. When I say we, HBCUs, there were 4 HBCUs in the top 10 in Super Region 2. And I haven't checked the rankings. I'm gonna check the rankings while you're talking about it. But which conference gets the extra team in? Or does each conference only get its champion in? Or does one conference get shut out and not get anybody in? What y'all think, fellas?
Mr. Hooks, go ahead and go first, brother. You're a D2 guy. I'll follow your lead.
I think if Clark wins Saturday, the SIC is at a real leeway where they might not get a team in. I think for the CIAA, to get 2 teams in right now, especially with Johnson C. Smith, God, I think that didn't bode well. That loss that they suffered Saturday. But I think if they're going to ease 2 teams in, it would have to be if Clark Atlanta wins Saturday, because the problem with Clark Atlanta is, yes, even though Miles and Clark Atlanta both played a D1 opponent, but Clark Atlanta also has like 2 losses. And when you start talking about the weights, so of course the Division I game doesn't count. So they would have to make they would have to make some huge jumps. And I don't know if their strength of schedule just bodes well for them. Now, it does benefit them from strength of schedule point that Albany State, well, it doesn't, because it kind of neutralizes itself because they beat Fort Valley too. So, it's just one of those things where you will just have to see, can they get to that spot? Are they going to jump in those spots to get the earned access into the playoffs? I don't know. I think for certain, if Miles wins Saturday, that'll put them at 8-9-1.
They'll be 9-1 in region.
Yeah, 9-1. But there's no way. I agree with Ram Nation. There's no way that we're getting 2 teams in. It's just not happening. And I feel like, to be honest with you, because of Fort Valley's schedule, if Fort Valley had a won and Miles played Fort Valley in that game, would probably be the only way, and Fort Valley won would be the only way that we could have snuck 2 teams into the playoff. But it's just room for 1 right now, and the right team has to win Saturday.
Yeah. All right. The current rankings, and they have not been updated for yesterday's games. So this was going into yesterday, and I'm just going through the HBCUs right now. Johnson C. Smith was number 4. We know what happened with that. Virginia Union was 6. We know what happened with that. Winston-Salem State was 7. They won. And Miles was sitting at number 9. Now, going to my trusted site, Inkblot Sports, who usually is pretty spot on with their rankings and their predictions. They may be off 1. They may have 6-5 and 5-6, but they're pretty spot on. Now, these are through yesterday's games. And right now, they have Miles sitting at 5. Winston-Salem sitting at 6. Johnson C. Smith at 8. Union at 11. Virginia State at 12. So now, according to Inkblot Sports, we've gone from the SIAC being in that earned access spot to now the CIAA, who dominated the SIAC, being the team, being the conference that may need earned access to get a team in. Ain't that crazy, man?
So it seems like we get penalized later in the year than for what we do early in the year, because, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't David Wright still one of the top passers at the D2 nation? Isn't Clark Atlanta have one of the better offenses in the nation? The fact that they beat a D1, you don't get no credit for that.
Clark Atlanta's strength of schedule. Clark Atlanta's strength of schedule is what hurt them. Plus, they started off so low. Clark Atlanta, by the way, I thank you for mentioning them, Coach Norman. They are sitting at 14. So going back to Ken's point, a Clark Atlanta victory will shut out the SIAC problem. Especially
and D1 games don't count towards Division II.
Yes,
playoffs.
yeah, D1 games don't count towards Division II playoffs. Just like with FCS, your Division II and your FBS games don't count towards the FCS playoffs. So it's going to be interesting when these rankings come out. Now, looking at this projection, I am really interested to see what happens to a Winston-Salem State who's off. And we've seen this before, where the team that's off and sitting in that 6 or that 7 spot gets bumped for not playing that game that last week, which is why I've always said that there needs to be some type of extra game where that number 3 team who's not in the championship game but still has a chance to play in the playoffs gets a game against somebody. Because really, all they need to do is play at that point. If they play and they win, they're good. I mean, would you love to see right now Winston-Salem and Albany State, the number 3 teams, playing with opportunity for one of them to get into the playoffs? Now, Albany State wouldn't have a chance, but they would give Winston-Salem State a heck of a matchup going into it.
Mr. Hooks and AD, brother, AD, you in the administration, Mr. Hooks, you a writer. Somehow, some way, fellas, we gotta get the ADs and the presidents together. I'm not togethers, because we gotta come up with some D2 HBCU D2 games. You know, I know they said they just took away the Florida game. I don't know why. I watched it last year. I thought it was a good game, but we got too many good teams being penalized. And when I say penalized, not being able to move forward to play in a bowl game because they only really select what 1, 2 of us HBCUs. That's not cool when you still got at least 3 or 4 more teams that can play. Now, Winston-Salem's being penalized because a team in their conference dropped out due to financial situations and academics. Why? They're a good team. You know, they can play. So I'm just saying, you guys as administrators and writers got to get together. I don't know if you're gonna meet in Vegas, wherever you do that, but you got to get together and come up with some bowl games, man. And then I believe that people want to see those games. So I'm gonna say like a GoFundMe page. I'm just talking out loud, but people start putting money like, hey, we want to do a Farasi Norman game in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We need X number of dollars. Okay. Hey, we want to do a Mr. Hooks game down in Tallahassee, Florida. We need X number. Okay. I think we as Black, because since I've been around HBCUs the last 2.5 years, I've been hearing about that. People say we need more games at that level. Well, then if we need to be financed, you guys, and I think that people will start putting in money that way so we can get these games going, because they're saying the reason why we lost the Florida game was lack of funding. And I was scraping my head like, I saw like 15 sponsors last year. Did they not want to come back for us? I mean, I don't know. I'm not in that business. I'm a football coach, but I'm just talking out loud too. But I think that we need more games because we got too many good teams sitting at home.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to you in a second, Ken. But both of you guys, hold up. Let me rephrase this. The opinion I express right now is not the opinion of Morehouse College. So I need to make sure I put that disclaimer out there. But until we decide to follow the model of the SWAC and the BIAC, and let's not forget, it took them 15 years to get that model together with the Celebration Bowl. We're not going to be able to do anything. Just like the BIAC would go to, they didn't want to come out the playoffs. They went to the playoffs every year and lost in the first round. CIAA, except for that run that Bowie State had right before the pandemic, I think that was 18 when they had that run. Tuskegee in 16. Only team that's really made a deep run were those Winston-Salem States in 13 and 14. But other than that, we won and done if we even get in. Hell, Ken, what did like 2019, 2018 when Albany State beat Miles or Miles beat Albany State and the SIAC got shut out?
Yeah, and 17.
See, you see what I mean? Why? Why are we going to? We ain't making no money. We not making no money off of this. Let's follow the model that's already out there. We have the case study. We have almost 10 years of Celebration Bowl history. Be it you bring it back as the Pioneer Bowl or whatever bowl you want to call it. CIAA, SIEC, we need our own bowl for our own money.
I agree 100.
I'm sorry. Floor is yours, Ken.
Yeah, so I hear y'all. I hear the point. I think Ram Nation probably knows where I'm going with this. I'm pretty much anti the bowl game between the SIAC and the CIAA. When we line up to play the Delta States of the world and the West Alabamas of the world, like Miles played, and we get kicked out of the playoffs, I go back to what we don't do in the regular season. Miles had a chance to beat the team that's sitting number 2 right now, and they lost by 2 points. When we put these teams on our schedule, because when you start talking about Miles, that's who they're recruiting against. The recruits that Miles offers, West Alabama is offering, and so there is a level of that we should line up and beat these teams. We're not talking about teams that are that finances are so much superior to ours. The Delta States, they're barely open. They're struggling to keep their university open. But yet, if we line up against a Delta State, 9 times out of 10, they will beat every team in our conference. And it's just some of those things that we just have to address in-house. Now, the things to the bowl game is this. We've seen a lot of SIAC and CIAA bowl games come and go over the years, all the way back to the Yam Bowl, the Vulcan Bowl, all these bowl games that have come that predated the Pioneer Bowl. And I knew that the Florida Beach Bowl wasn't going to be a success just because I didn't necessarily think that how they started off was that. And I've heard some things, from some of the schools in there that schools just opted out, just did not, even if they had offered it this year, that they just weren't going to be a part of it. Location is one. Then you start talking about the individual schools in each conference. You have to have, if our schools ever want to grow to that point, our schools have to do a better job at engaging and cementing their fan support. And a lot of the SIAC teams, a lot of the CIAA teams, and I can't speak too much on the CIAA because I don't follow it as much, but those fan bases are really small. Like they're not as big as they once were. And so I think we have to do some in-house building to build that infrastructure. The SWAC and the MEAC, they have a level of infrastructure that's there. They have a level of fan support. We can't deny that the fan support for the SWAC is good. Now, fortunately for the SWAC, they just hadn't got one of those matchups that's going to sink it. I can tell you what has synced. Even the SIAC championship game when it was in Montgomery, it started off good because you had Tuskegee and Albany State all those years. Okay, that's a good matchup. The Albany State people are going to travel to Tuskegee. But then
it was a Tuskegee more than the Albany State.
Yeah, it was a
Tuskegee or Miles playing in Montgomery more than the Albany State. I'm sorry.
But then you mess around and you get one of those matchups one year where you fucking mess around and get a Kentucky State
in Fort Valley that year.
And you mess around and get one of those matchups. Now the Celebration Bowl just has been fortunate that they just hadn't got one of those matchups. But you mess around and you get a Delaware State versus Arkansas Pine Bluff matchup in the Celebration Bowl one year. You might be, folks start looking there. So it's just lucky. There is a big luck of the draw. I think the SIAC, CIAA, a lot of people want to see that matchup. I tell the people that say they want to see it, well, go support it. We got the first game of the season. Let's see the support for these games. I've seen them. The only two teams that really I think would get a draw in the CIAA when you get a Tuskegee and Winston-Salem. I don't see any other school really drawing a crowd with these institutions. I think our storylines don't cross as well as the SWAC and the MEAC storyline. Now, could it grow to that? Yes. Do I think there could be some investments? Yes, but it has to be the CIAA and the SIC both have to be committed to making that work and commit the resources to it. Like if you go into a community, you just can't go in the community and have a game. You got to be in that community. You got to start spreading that. Like it's really like the grassroots kind of ground game has to get going. I don't think that the conference is up. Either one of the conferences are up to putting in that level of work to it. And so I just don't see any of those games working at the moment. And because of that, I'm like, yeah, when you play West Alabama and Delta State, we need to beat them. It's not like the GSC is as strong as it used to be. That's how the SAC is starting to win some games. So I think our teams need to focus on winning the games that are put on their schedule. And if the commissioners can come together and get the job done, and because another thing about the Florida Beach Bowl, I saw somebody say like who's going to pay for it, right? And I sat in some meetings with the people who were running the Florida Beach Bowl last year, and the way they was talking, you get a bunch of people who don't understand what they're talking about, and trying to put two teams together. And so to me, it would have to be the right deal. Now, could ESPN make that a weekend? You know, when you start talking about the Celebration Bowl and put the Pioneer or whatever bowl you want to call it, can they put that together? I tell the people it's been tried before. The Pioneer Bowl used to play after the Heritage Bowl, and it still flopped. So it just is what it is at this point in time. I just don't think there is our bases are engaged or cross paths with each other enough to build those kind of storylines and build that type of, rivalry that people will go out and see that game.
Gotcha. All right, Ken, we're gonna let you get out of here on this. Anything else out there? The CIAA potential championship game? Anything in the SWAC, MEAC? Anything else out there you want to throw out there for the people to talk about?
Okay, I mean, most people know that I'm in law school right now, so I have to celebrate those Jaguars, that 5 overtime win. So I'm happy about.
Hold on, time out. We know cats have 9 lives, but Jaguars have 10 overtime. It's the second 5 overtime game they've had this year.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence Graves keep telling folks he's that dude. I think I told one of my partners. I told him, I said, Terrence Graves he has a praying wife. Gotta have a praying wife. Because you gotta have a praying wife or somebody know how to get a prayer through. And I need to email him and say, hey, I need you to whoever praying for you, they need to send a few prayers up for me, because
I'll take the leftovers.
Yeah, they're solid. So that's good. And believe it or not, I went to Alabama State as well, so I was rooting for Bama State. They pissed me off Saturday losing the ground game, but that's just like Bama State. Put you up on a high, then just to let you down. But as long as they beat Jackson State on the 16th, I'm gonna be happy for the Hornets. So those 2 games, I'm forward.
All right, Ken. For those who don't know, Ken hosts a Twitter space. SIAC talk is coming on tonight in about 30 minutes, Ken?
Yeah, about 30 minutes, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to kick him up out of here, because I don't want to be the reason that he's late for his own Twitter space. But if you wanted to take a deep dive into the SIAC, and not just the SIAC, he talks about pretty much anything football or HBCU related, HBCU sports related. Check him out on Twitter Spaces, HBCU Football guy. I normally join in after I finish the podcast here on Sunday nights. Any last parting words, Ken?
No, just thank you for having me, and nice to meet you, Mr. Norman. I've heard a lot about you.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate everything you do. Hey, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right. HBCUFootball.com and on Twitter at HBCU Football, D2 HBCU Football. I'm gonna get it out right sooner or later. Kendrick Cooks, we appreciate you, my brother. After the break, we're gonna come back. Coach Norman, we're gonna dive into some football. We're gonna have Coach Norman break down the play for us first. Then we're gonna have Coach Norman. We're gonna see what Coach Norman and drew up there on that old pretty board and everything.
Oh, you mean my receipt board?
Receipt, credit card, whatever you want to call it, my brother. Cash app, I don't care what you call it. But we're gonna get into that. AD Drew, Farasi Norman. We'll be right back on BCSN Sports Wrap in just a moment.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be. You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle. Mr. This script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel. A business big leaguer. Go for key. Even the ultimate pool float inflator. With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true. Gotta get the corners.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Troy, you work here? I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield, never not working.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. AD Drew here along with Coach Farasi Norman. Coach Norman.
Yes, sir.
I sent you this play earlier. It hurts me that my family Rattlers were involved in this play, but I think it's a good play, and I just wanted to get your opinion on this particular play. Now, while the common man, like most of us, we see the two big hits that the running back put on Earl Campbell style.
There you go.
On the defensive back. But I know somebody like you likes to look and see how that line opened up that hole for him even to get to that second and third level in that particular play.
Okay, if you can, Drew, let's go back to the beginning here. I broke this play down like you asked me to. Okay, we got a I formation. Well, actually, that's like a pistol. You got the up back is offset behind the guard. You got the H back right here. I want everybody to watch the H back. He'd be to the left. Okay, the other back up top, he motions out. You want to do that because you want to see if you can get a linebacker to open up that hole in the middle. Okay, the running back's coming through. Perfect pocket like we work every day in practice. He's coming down. But watch this H back. This is why this play works. We get excited about the run and everything like that, but watch this H-back. Now, the O-line, they fire up. They don't knock nobody gets backwards or anything like that, fam. You know, they got a good D-line, but they get their blocks, most importantly. So you get a check for getting your blocks. But this H-back, he stands this D-lineman up, straight up, moving his feet in the hole, running back to make that cut, and that's from where it goes. If that H-back doesn't get that block, that play does not work. Now watch this play. Watch that H-back. Watch that play right here coming down.
That's number 88 for everybody who's
okay,
watching.
That's 88 now. He's H-back. H-back means he can either play tight end or fullback. And so watch this play right here. Boom, stands him up, moving his feet, running back coming through. Now he's got his shoulders down like we teach it. That's why you go through the gauntlet drill every day. Shoulders down, running up, and we teach the running backs to run under the pads, under your shoulder pad. That's perfect play right there. Once again, that's Earl Campbell. You don't know who Earl Campbell is? Google him up. Great back from the 70s, early 80s. Roger Craig, early 80s, early 90s.
Walter Payton.
Like Walter Payton did that. Hey, Jack State guy. You know, then he's coming through the second level here. Boom, again, under the pads, you know, running through hard. Now, this guy's able to hold on to him where some other white jerseys can come get him. But once again, we go back to the beginning. That H-back makes that play. Now, the running back did a great job. He ran hard. He ran under his pads. The O-lineman, once again, they didn't blow nobody off. I watched that play 4 or 5 times. Did anybody get knocked backwards? Did you go see it? No one got knocked backwards, but they did get their blocks. So you have to give them checks as in a positive for getting their blocks. But that H-back, he gets 2 checks. Because watch it. Boom, right here. Set, hit, boom, right there. Boom, standing up in the holes, feet moving. And, hey, and the guy from FAMU gets ran over. That's going to be a highlight film. He ain't going to like that, but it is what it is. It happens in football. That running back, was running hard. Now, he don't look very big. He ain't a 220, 230 like the guy from Alabama A&M, something like that. I mean, this guy looks about 175, 180. But once again, he ran under his shoulder pads, under his pads, as we as coaches like to say, he ran under his pads. But this play works because of that H-back, gets that D lineman in the hole, stands him straight up, and blows him up. Now, he don't move him backwards, but he holds him there long enough to let that running back get through. And, hey, I gave it 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up on that play all around. But it works because of that H-back.
Definitely, man. But yeah, I just thought this was a good play that I could have you break down so that people really understood what went into this play. This was just not a running back making a spectacular run, which he did.
No.
At the end, but once again, if we don't have that seal, that H-back right there, like you said, on the
D-lineman,
at the point of attack, then we don't even see all that stuff down there on the second and third level.
No, because a lot of times we get excited. The running back got the ball, he came through the hole. But like I said, I'm an O-line guy. And I want to say this real quickly. Shout out, I saw some good blocking this weekend. And, we'll get into it a little later. But I want to say shout out to the big boys, the O-linemen, and their coaches, because that means they're working, especially this time of the year. But this play right here, once again, if you go back to the beginning, Drew. Go back to the beginning right there, and then let's just go back through slowly. You'll see. Prairie View gets their blocks. Now, they don't blow nobody 3, 4, 5 yards off the ball, but they get their blocks. And as an O-line coach, that's really what you ask for. Get your blocks. Said, boom. But this H-back right here, he makes it work, brother. Because if he misses that block, that running back gets ate up in a hole. And we're like, ooh. But that doesn't happen. He gets him. He stands him up. His feet are still moving. That running back's able to come through there. And once again, now he's lowering his shoulders. The linebacker's coming up, and he gets boomed. He gets boomed. Ran over, Then he keeps going. Oh, you want some of this too? Come on, I got some more for you. Boom, ran over. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, he had a lot to give, but that H-back makes that play work.
All right, we appreciate that analysis there for you, Coach Norman. We're gonna get to your whiteboard in just a segment. But I gotta let this next person in on the podcast. He did me a big solid this week when I was having trouble putting together a broadcast for the Battle of the Big Cats. That's FAMU, Lord Jesus. That's Morehouse versus Clark, Atlanta. And we were able to get the game on the radio yesterday and put the link out on the website. We weren't able to get the link up until Saturday morning, but I needed a play-by-play and a color person. Well, Keisha Kelly, Black College Experience, was my color analyst. But I needed somebody to pilot the ship. And the person piloting the ship was this man right here. That being Mr. Duane Walker. You've heard and seen Duane Walker all over the 4-letter network for the SIAC for multiple years, probably about as long as they've had the SIAC contract there with ESPN. I don't even remember when the first time we bumped into each other, Duane. But I know it's been a few years since we bumped into each other. We all the time, and like I say, he did me a solid. He came in, he was like, "AD, I got you, man. I got you. I'll come in and do play by play for you." And not only do that, but Keisha, that was her first time actually working as a color analyst. She's done sideline plenty of times, but we moved her to the booth, and she did an outstanding job up there in the booth, doing what she does, bringing her personality to the broadcast. So, without further ado, Brother Duane Walker.
Well, thank you very much, AD Drew. How you doing, brother? First of all,
yeah, I'm still trying to recover, man.
I hear you, brother. Listen, man, you're like a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. You busy, brother. I got to give it to you. Hey, but listen, before we get started, man, first of all, I want to thank you, AD Drew, for having me on the platform. This is my very first appearance on the Black College Sports Network as a guest. So, first of all, I feel honored. Anytime I have an opportunity to cover HBCU athletics, I think it's the greatest product in the world, and I mean that sincerely. So whenever I have an opportunity to go on a platform, which is very rare, to be quite honest with you, I don't really get asked a lot, but I'm certainly appreciative when given the opportunity. And as far as my experience of being on ESPN, I might be telling my age a little bit, but man, I actually made my first appearance on ESPN way back in the day, man, probably close to 30 years ago. Probably the mid 90s, I recall doing some CBA basketball, as well as a program called Black College Sports Today. Some of you may remember that program. It was hosted by Sam Crenshaw, and I was one of the featured reporters from here in Atlanta. So it's been a minute, but I've had a long journey, man. 40 years in the business, man.
Oh wow, man. Well, you don't look like you've been in the business 40 years, so I'm gonna give you that compliment.
Well, thank you. I'll take that. Don't tell nobody though. Hey, this isn't nobody's watching this, right? No one's. This is just us three, Coach, me, and you, right?
If it's only, I love what I do, but if it's only us three watching it, I'm gonna be very disappointed, and it's gonna lead me to an early retirement because you know as well as I do, it takes too much planning and everything else to put on these podcasts or to do these live broadcasts that we do.
Man, I'm just playing, man. I'm big fans of y'all, man. I watch you boys, Dr. Bill. I watch all you guys, man. So I'm actually fans of the show, man.
Yeah. One of the reasons I brought you on, Duane, especially when I said it, I thought about it today. Who am I gonna get to be the guest today? Because Brian was gonna be out to next week. And I started going down the Rolodex, and I thought about it. Duane, last week, called Miles.
Yes.
This week, he calls Clark Atlanta.
Yes.
What better person to break down this potential championship matchup than the person who has seen these teams in the most recent 2 weeks? So this is where I have it. Duane, we've seen them. We saw what Clark Atlanta did yesterday. They found a running game yesterday, but their passing attack was off to the tune of five interceptions by David Wright.
Yeah, David Wright. I've got to say, I've always been a big David Wright fan for the past couple of years. Even when he was injured his freshman year, I told people that this young man would actually be the offensive MVP of the year, which he was last year with Allen University and Coach Teddy Keaton. And so making the transition to Atlanta, the AU Center, I thought was a fantastic move for both of those guys. But to get back to your point about his 5 interceptions yesterday, that's what you get when you get a quarterback like David Wright. He's the type of quarterback that makes you feel as though you're always in the game. You always have a chance to win, despite maybe some of the ill-advised decisions that he might make on the football field. But you got to understand, he's got a multitude of weapons he can go to on the offensive side of the football, between Jones, between Harris, between Ronnie West. He's got a multitude of toys to play with, and he has played with them and done quite well.
And put a pin in that in that Jones guy, because we're gonna talk about how special he is in just a moment. But I guess I can't put a pin into it because you want to go ahead and get into it now. Go ahead and get into
No,
it.
no, no, no. We can wait on it, but that's just a guy that I personally would not kick the football to under any circumstances. I wouldn't punt it to him. I wouldn't kick it to him. And in Saturday's game, Morehouse found a way of kicking him the ball, even when he was a part of the special hands team. When they were expecting onside kicks from Morehouse, the football would still find a way to get in his hands. And I tried to warn people before he returned the football for a touchdown that he might return it for a touchdown, and he returned it for a touchdown. And that's like the third or fourth touchdown return on the season for Jamal Jones. He's remarkable with that football. And strangely enough, I don't know if a lot of people have thought about this, but I know everyone talks about the offensive firepower for Clark Atlanta. I know everyone talks about the stout defense for Miles College. But this game, this championship game, very well may come down to special teams play. And Miles College has struggled this year, in my opinion, in the special teams area, especially on field goals, extra point attempts. It's been a trouble spot so far this year, but obviously winning can cover all that. But you take on the Clark side what Jamal Jones can do and compare it to the other side, some of the, rough spots that Miles has. An extra point here or a missed field goal there could make a big difference in this ball game coming up.
Yeah. And speaking of special teams play and other plays, Duane, you say you've been doing this game for 40 years.
Yes, sir.
I got about half of what you got in.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen a game like I saw Saturday with not one, but 2 block punts returned for a touchdown, a fumble 6, a pick 6. What else? What else crazy did we have in that game yesterday, man? I mean, we had interceptions by both teams, spectacular plays by the defensive backs on a lot of those interceptions.
Oh, yeah.
These weren't just lollipops that was thrown up there. The defensive backs made some hell of a plays on these interceptions. I mean, kick return. We had a kick return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Did we? I'm not.
We had Clark Atlanta had 2 interceptions by Khalil Wilkins. He was stellar. Carlos Donovan had a couple of picks for Morehouse.
Yes.
Caleb Grant, the 5'7" senior for Morehouse, he had a 67-yard interception return for a touchdown. What else did we have? We had Morehouse go for it on their first 2 possession on 4th down with fake punts. Each time they were stopped. The second time, however, blocked punt, ran back in for a touchdown. We had everything, man. It was crazy. And even though Clark Atlanta dominated the game for the most part, Morehouse was still fighting. They were not giving up. And had it not been for a couple of untimely turnovers by Morehouse, man, they outscored Clark in the second half. What was it? 17-7. So they were in the ball game up until the final moments.
So, Coach Norman.
Yes, sir.
You've seen a lot of football in your day too, and you've seen a lot of crazy things that happen in the game. Like, how the heck does this happen? When you're on the sideline and this is happening, and you're seeing all these crazy plays, some of them for your team, some of them against your team. What do you do to bring calm and order back to your team? Because somewhere in here, you got to close this game out, bro.
You see how the game is going. If it's in your favor, then you start looking at the clock. How much time do I got? Under 2, under 3, 5, 7. Okay, once again, you've heard me say this since we've been talking last year. Then you look at your D coordinator and say, how we doing over there? You say, how we doing? Are we healthy? We strong? Who we got? We're good. Okay, now if it's just getting out of whack, then you walk up to the referee, you call a timeout. Timeout, get everybody a water bottle. Everybody take a deep breath, calm down. understand what's going on, get ready back for the game, give a little quick speech, like, hey, we got this, we're right here, we're down by 2, come on, fellas, need to make a big play. And you know me, I'm an O-line guy, so I'm saying, O-line, I need this big block right now. Receivers where to catch at. So you give them a little motivation, pat on the back real quickly, then you get back to business. But you check with your defense, see how you're doing first, then you call that timeout, get everybody that little 30-second, little quick win, and you get back to work.
Yeah. Now, one thing I found interesting, and I've seen this not only in this game, but in other games that I've had this year. I'm gonna let you come back in just a second, Duane. When, as an offensive coach, when do you decide to take the air out the ball? Okay, we not throwing the ball. We fist to run 21 dive, 22 dive, toss sweep, read option, whatever it is, whatever our bread and butter play is. When in the fourth quarter, when you have the lead, do you make that decision like this ball is not going in the air again? 2 hands on the ball, duck, cover. I don't need the extra yards, just go down. Because when you fight for the extra yards, that's when you fumble. When do you have that conversation?
Hey, Drew, you talk to Farasi Norman, brother. So I already got that plan and everything like that. But to answer your question, look, if you look at my board real quickly, we're going to talk about this in a second when you give me some time. But I got 2 formations. I got a formation called Gremlin, named after, of course, the great Gremlin State University. That's my flex bone. I got another one called Sooner, of course, after Oklahoma Sooners. That's when if I'm up by 2 or more touchdowns going late third, going to the fourth, I'm not trying to embarrass nobody. I'm not trying to put 70, 80 on nobody. I'm trying to win a game. So we're going to right there. And then we're going to go 21, 22 dive, 23, 24 dive. We're going to ride the big back to 2 back. Any running back you play a 2 back, that just means he's up front. The little bitty guys, 150, 160, they can't get right there. But anybody 185, 190, 200, they get right there. So I'm usually going to jump into Gremlin or Sooner. And we're not throwing the ball. We're going to stay inside them gaps, them A's and B's. If it's a 4th and like 3, and I'm thinking that they're crowding the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to fake 21, 18 boot pass. So we're going to fake 21, 18 boot pass, have my tight end. He's going to block down here. He's going to roll out to the flat, hit him there. That's probably the only time I'm going to put
a safe pass.
Yes, sir. Safe pass. Remember a couple weeks ago, I told Brian when he asked me to play like 39, I said, you find your sticks. So we know where the first down is. I'm telling and I put the plan to the quarterback, to the tight end, and say, Coach said, make sure you find the sticks. Yes, sir. So we know where the sticks is at. We're going to slam down 1, 2, 3. We're rolling out. We're going to fake. We're going to roll out, hit, and go out of. Then he's already talked. Go out of bounds. Stop the clock. Give Coach Norman time to take a deep breath. Let's get ready. Get the play back in there. Keep moving. That's the only time we're going to throw that ball. Other than that, if I'm up by 2 or more touchdowns going into the 4th, late third, going into the 4th, yeah, ain't no need for me to throw it no more. I'm not Steve Spirit, how mummy. I'm Farasi Norman. I'm going to pound that rock.
Now, Duane over there, he had a chuckle. He raised his hand.
What's up, Duane?
What's going on, Coach?
And I know a few times this year, he's probably wondering why the coach hasn't had that conversation with his offensive coordinator, or if he's an offensive coordinator, he hasn't had the conversation with himself. The floor is yours, Duane.
Well, listen, I got to say, first of all, Coach, it's an honor being on here with you, man. I certainly appreciate it. But, Coach, I got to ask you this question. So you're going to answer for all. You're going to have to answer for all the coaches for me, or tell me if you agree with this observation. Oftentimes, I see late in ball games, I see complete mismanagement of the time, of the situation. Of course, we have the new rule with the clock stops in the last 2 minutes in the first half, as well as the second half. I see occasions when a team is up and all they have to do is sit on the ball, rush the football, and run off the clock, but they insist on passing the football. Incomplete pass stops the clock. So instead of running down to the 2-minute warning, they have to run another play. They don't succeed. They have to kick the ball off, or punt the ball to the opposition. It seems as though, do not coaches actually talk about this or preach that? I just see so many instances in college football, and even at the pro level too, the mismanagement of time. And it's just, I'm like, they pay these guys millions of dollars, and they don't have anyone on staff that can say, hey, look, we need to burn the clock. And if we're trying to burn the clock, why are we running the offense with 20 seconds left on the play clock? Why are we doing that? We should be dripping the clock down to 3, 2 seconds, what have you, on every snap. Not every other snap, every 4 snaps, every snap. Because every snap is important.
I got a thing. Let me see if you can see my hands right here. I got a thing that's kind of like that. It's called milking the clock. So I'm looking at my quarter. I'm like, hey, look at me. And I'm doing this. I'm pushing right there. That's like to watch, like milking the clock. So I'm saying we're not snapping this ball till 5 seconds. As a head coach, on game day, so many things is going through your mind. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. So a lot of us, we lose track of time management. You know, that's not really what we're thinking about. We're thinking about make sure our boys are healthy. Two, make sure we win this game. Three, we're thinking about, you know, do we have to answer to the AD or the president? Do we lose? You know, so make sure we got 2:02 on the clock. That's not really what we're doing. But what I do is I'll pick one of my GAs or one of my players. I say, hey, watch that clock. I want to know every 7 seconds. Coach, we're at 2:37. Coach, we're at 2:30. Coach, we're at 2:30. We're at 2:26. I'm looking like, huh? When, you know, I'm looking like, huh? But I got other things going. But he's doing just what I asked him to do. So now you know where you're at. And I'm already telling my quarterback when I say, hey, look at me, because they already know what this is. That means milk the clock. So, and I'm gonna show it. And then I got my little gun, like boom, like go. So I'm looking, wait, 4, 3, boom. And then he'll say it hit, or you know, these days they got the little clap hands thing. I'm not really with the clap hands thing, but anyway, we're milking the clock, brother. We're milking the clock to them last seconds to try to get it off. Like I just explained to AD, we're not, unless I have to throw the ball, and if I do, it's gonna be a tight end pass out. We're not going downfield, everything like that. But like I say, a lot of times as we as coaches, we mismanage because we got so many things going on. Monitoring the clock is not one of them that we're doing. But me personally, and I've been through experience like this, that's why I'll say, Eddie, come here, watch that clock. I need to know every second where we're at. And I'll look at it and I'll say 2:06. Okay, so now I know in my brain I got 2:06. So next time he come to me, it should be a 150 something, and then a 140 something, everything like that. But I'm still telling my quarterback, look at me, and we're milking the clock all the way down.
So I guess the bottom line is, from a coach's perspective, you have so many things going on that you're managing the game, things that people don't see or don't necessarily pay attention to, that's actually delegated to that should be actually delegated to someone else.
It should be delegated to someone else. Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna nominate, if guys are looking for stuff to do on the sidelines, I nominate the get back coach. Everybody knows who the get back coach is, right?
Yeah.
I nominate the underused get back coach. Okay, let the get back coach be in charge of time management.
I was a get back coach once. I know you feel.
Hey, important role, man.
Get back coach.
Get back, everybody, get back. God, get back, get back.
Yeah. And especially when you're new and you're still a GA and you're still working on your classes, and you're like, get back. And they look at you like, what? And you're like, man, get back. Get back. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to be a little physical with me, like, hey, man, I ain't trying to push you, but I need you to get back. Because you don't get back, coach going to get on my butt. So it's like, get back. And then coach like, Farasi, yes, sir. Watch that clock. So now I got to get you back and watch the clock. 1:50, Coach Drew. Okay, 1:47, Coach Drew. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So now I've been there.
Well, thanks for answering that, Coach. I appreciate your candor, man.
No problem, brother.
Duane, getting back to the original reason I brought you on.
Sure.
What are you looking for next week in this SIAC championship game? Advantage or disadvantage? Let's do it the simple way.
Okay.
Miles offense against the Clark Atlanta defense.
Wow. Well, the Miles offense, let's start there. They can flex, right? They can go with a quarterback, Cameron Ivory, or they have a backup they can use in Khalil Abner, who's filled in admirably. Yeah, Khalil Anglin.
He did a good job.
Khalil Anglin has filled in admirably. He's had a couple of starts even as a freshman. He actually started, I believe, the game I did. They played against Morehouse, if I'm not mistaken. But they have so many weapons on that offense for Miles College, especially in their rushing attack. For most of the season, they've had a four-headed Miles, supposed to be five, but Scott has been oftentimes has been injured. Who else has been injured? Jamari Riley had a shoulder issue. The only real consistent guys they've had is Leatherwood, who has been outstanding. He probably has at least 8 touchdowns on the season. And so they just rotate those backs and they move the football on the ground. And so they have, excellent offensive line play. Chris Twyman's doing an excellent job. Jason Stovall, these guys up front, they're the ones that push the pile. And their tight end play has been pretty good as well with Abner, although he didn't play last game because of an injury. So my point is, Miles, they maximize what they have on the offensive side of the ball. They've got nice receiver play. Kendarius Griffin has really been coming on as of late, scoring on both the offensive end as well as the defensive end. Because of some injuries, Coach Sam Shade has had to utilize guys from the offense onto the defense. So Kendarius Griffiths has actually played some secondary play and actually returned the football for a touchdown. So Coach Sam Shade and his team, they really have exemplified that next man up mentality because they've been banged up really the past, actually throughout his whole tenure since getting there in 2022. And I want to tell you something. After covering the game on a couple weeks ago, Morehouse at Miles, and then watching Morehouse yesterday play against Clark Atlanta, the Morehouse team reminds me of the 2022 Miles College team when Sam Shade took over. Okay, to be honest, they didn't really have a lot of talent. It was right after Reginald Ruffin had made his departure to go to Tuskegee. And it was at Tuskegee. A lot of people may have forgotten about this game. During that 1-9 season, during the 22 year, maybe the last game
That
of the
was the year
season,
they took
homecoming.
Tuskegee to home overtime.
Yes, took them to overtime. And by the way, you can't really find that game on the internet. I mean, I know you can get it, but that was a classic game. And I knew right then the way they battled, I'm like, oh, Sam Shade's on to something here. And just 2 years later, they are in the championship game. So it can be done. Morehouse can do it, but they've got to get the right people in. Great start with Terrence Mathis and bringing on Bob Whitfield, the former All-Pro offensive line with the Atlanta Falcons, is definitely a start. So what I'm saying is that what Miles College has done with their next man up mentality, not making any excuses, but going along, following the process, believing in the system, and getting back to the basics. After starting out 0-2 this year, lost to West Alabama, a game that they were actually in the Alabama State. Coach Sam Shade had to go back to the basics with his club of tackling, proper drop back, wrapping up. Sometimes you have to go back to the basics to get centered so that you can take off of it. And they certainly have done that, running off 8 wins in a row.
And you know the irony about that game, Duane. If you remember, Reginald Ruffin went for 2, and I think was it the first or second overtime? It was the first overtime because it only went to 1 overtime. He went for 2 because Tuskegee did not have lights, and there was not enough time to play a second overtime.
Right.
Problem solved. Problem solved now.
Hey, athletic director and the coach. You know what I'm saying? Athletic director and the coach, man. Sometimes you got to make some decisions, bro.
He went out and got him some lights after that.
And listen, and Reginald Ruffin has done an outstanding job at your alma mater as far as bringing back, really bringing back that, what's the word I'm looking for? Improving the facilities, right? There are certain brands in Black college football, in Black college athletics, and just Black college experience total. And to me, we've talked about one of them so far in Morehouse. Academically phenomenal. And no reason, in my opinion, why they shouldn't have the athletics match their academics. There's no reason why an institution like Morehouse should ever have to worry about getting money to fund an athletic program, in my opinion. All right. But at Tuskegee, Reginald Ruffin comes in from Miles back in 2022, right? And what has he done? He gets new facility, get new turf put in, right? They're working on the softball field. They've got new training facilities there. You talked about them bringing in the lights. And Tuskegee is another one of those historic programs, man. The winningest program in college football history, right? Division II college football history. Is that factually correct?
No, it's the winningest. It's the winningest HBCU at number 2 all time.
Right. It's behind a PWI school, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to name this.
East Coast. It's on the East Coast. I actually did the research when I wrote the article about win number 700. They were trailing them by like 28, 29 victories.
Yeah.
At that point. And of course, you know what my running joke is with everybody.
What is it?
Tuskegee cannot play football for the next 10 years, and no HBCU would still catch them. That's how far of a lead they have.
Listen, man.
On number 2.
So those are the type of aesthetics you have to build on. You follow what I'm saying? There should be funds coming in just based on that historical fact alone. And I think Reginald Ruffins obviously started the process to get that done. I did the game 2 years ago, the homecoming. It was crazy. It was crazy. They probably had about 30 racks up in there. They probably had 30,000. Now they weren't all in the stadium. They weren't all inside the stadium, but around the surrounding area, outside of the fence, in the parking area, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Reported attendance over 47,000 on yesterday for homecoming.
What? Yesterday?
Yesterday, 47.
47,000
in a stadium that seats 10.
Listen, I believe it. I believe it. And again, that's shouts out and kudos to Reginald Ruffin and what they're doing over there at Tuskegee. And I know, man, I had an opportunity to cover both men's and women's basketball last year, doing a color for women's basketball and men's basketball. And they got it going, man. They've got their sports network going on. Exciting times over there at Tuskegee, despite them falling a little bit short the past 2 years.
All right. Anything else you want to throw out there as we get ready to talk about the championship game and wrap up this segment?
Yeah, Teddy Keaton, Coach of the Year. I mean, is there any doubt about that? I mean, look at the position Clark Atlanta is in. When's the last time Clark Atlanta played for an SIAC championship?
He gets my vote.
Now I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Okay, let's hear it.
Obviously, you have to put Sam Shade in the conversation for going
You
undefeated.
You would.
And making a championship game for the first time in his coaching career.
But Miles has a history. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean Miles does have the history, but the person who created that history is out there director at Tuskegee now.
So okay.
Because Miles had no football history before Reginald Ruffin got over it. Let's be real.
Okay, but here's the thing. Let me say this also, and something that people may not see or may not realize. Do people out there understand some of the hurdles you have to go through? Not all, at some HBCUs to get, and I'm not saying I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but there's a lot of situations that coaches have to overcome that people might not realize. And Teddy Keaton has had some challenges over at Clark Atlanta University, right? And despite those challenges, he still finds himself with his squad, with David Wright III as the quarterback, in the championship game of the SIAC, something that hasn't happened in decades. Coach of the Year, SIAC. Hey, listen, I called David Wright as the MVP of the SIAC Offensive MVP last year. I called it before the season. It's on record. HBCU game. I promise it's love. And I'm telling you, Teddy Keaton, I said before the year, Teddy Keaton is going to be the coach of the year. And by the way, I love Sam Shade. Sam Shade is one of my favorite people in the SIAC too.
Yeah. Anybody who can give David Wright a run for his money as player of the year.
Yeah.
I say number one contender is Kelvin Durham.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, perhaps. I mean, he was National Player of the Year, I think, maybe, or not National Player of the Year, National Player of the Week. When he threw three or four touchdown passes early this year. But listen, I'm going to tell you someone who definitely should get consideration, and people they might not mention his name, but you'll hear from him in the championship game. I can almost guarantee it. It's a young man I believe he's leading the nation, certainly HBCU football in interception and in Division II. A guy named LaShawn Young. This guy is lights out. He plays Safety for Miles. He's got, I want to say 7 or 8 interceptions so far this year. He's got 3 pick sixes. LaShawn Young, red shirt freshman. Watch out for him in the championship game. I think he should be considered. I mean, those are phenomenal stats.
Wow, definitely phenomenal stats. All right, Duane, floor is yours. Any closing comments that you want to give?
Any closing comments that I want to give? Yeah, man. Thank you for the opportunity, AD Drew. I appreciate you allowing me to come on your platform to talk SIAC football, something that I've loved doing. Been doing it for the SIAC since, I believe, 2019. And every opportunity is just that, an opportunity, one that you should try to maximize and try to perform at the highest levels possible, because it's all about excellence.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you stepping up for me and stepping in this week when I didn't have anybody to call that game and produce that game for me, man. So for Morehouse Nation, we definitely appreciate you, my guy. We know football is over with. You got any basketball games on the schedule yet?
Do I? I don't, man. I'm a free agent. Let's do something. Who wants to do something? If you're out there in the HBCU space, you look for a play-by-play guy, or if you need production services, because we do that. We do basketball productions. We do softball, hockey, football, baseball, whatever. It's called Christina Girl Productions, a TV production my daughter has. Man, she's doing big things as well. So, yeah, man, love what we do. Love the HBCU space, and certainly appreciative of being allowed to operate in that space.
Well, we appreciate you for all the work you've done over the years, and you're one of the people who I look to when I try to pattern my certain things about the way that I produce myself and the way I carry myself when I do a broadcast. You're just one of a few of them. I got many people, and I take bits and pieces from everybody who I work with. I like the way he does that. I like the way he does.
Well, bless it. Well, listen, man, it's hard out here, man. When I say hard out here, I don't think sometimes people understand when you get an opportunity, it's really about maximizing that opportunity. And as we wrap up, just real quick here. So, and this isn't to pat myself on the back. This is just to let some people know a couple of things. So I was in the running for a play-by-play position with the Pittsburgh Steelers this past offseason, and had multiple interviews with that organization. And for them to pick my resume and my reel out of the hundreds and hundreds of applications they got for people that wanted that position, which was to replace a 30-year veteran that retired. It was an honor for me, but not only was it an honor, it let me know that the work I was doing is, maybe cuts the mustard. But if it hadn't been for HBCUs, given a brother like me, I didn't graduate from an HBCU because when I was coming up, I really didn't know about. I'm from Buffalo, New York, so I really hadn't experienced the whole HBCU experience. But once I did experience it, which was in the 80s, a brother named Ken Freed, commissioner of the MEACL. You remember him?
Yes.
I was working in professional baseball at the time in the Chicago Cubs farm system. I was the second African American to work in the front office of baseball in the Chicago Cubs farm system in Winston-Salem. So Ken Free actually played outfield for Winston-Salem in Ernie Shore Stadium. So in the late 80s, we struck up a relationship. And then from that point on, he would have me come do the MEAC tournament. So I would announce the men's and women's basketball tournament every year. So after that, since I was out of college, so I tried to get my little brother in. He was supposed to play baseball at Florida A&M. It didn't work out. Long story short, I tried to get my daughter to attend. She applied to 2 actual HBCUs. She was accepted to both, but ended up going to another university. But here's the catcher. And AD, you met my daughter yesterday.
Yes.
At the football game. You know what she told me just today? She said, "Dad, I think I'm going to go after my doctorate and I'm going to attend an HBCU." I'm like, she gets it. So, But my point being, man, if it hadn't been for HBCUs, I wouldn't have been able to get the run I got or been in a position to be considered to be hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers as the radio play-by-play guy.
Like Sly said earlier, you don't go to an HBCU football game. You go to an HBCU football experience.
Yes, and I love telling our stories, and we have so many of them to tell. And sometimes it frustrates me when I don't see, okay, let's say this. Sometimes it frustrates me when I see the storytellers who have not lived the story, if that makes sense.
Oh, it's somebody who's lived the story, wrote chapter and verse, wrote the cliff notes, done the podcast on it and everything else. I definitely understand, bro. I definitely understand.
Well, blessings to you and Coach, man. Appreciate y'all, boys.
Thank you,
We
brother.
appreciate you. We appreciate you. And when we come back from the break, Coach Norman is going to go to the whiteboard, and we're going to wrap this thing up. You are watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. Coach Farasi Norman, Brian's on assignment. Special guest Duane Walker. This is AD Drew. We'll be back in 2.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody. We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Brian Fulford and AD Drew. Brian Fulford is off on assignment. Actually, y'all, he's really taking the day off, but you know, we just like to make it sound fancy by saying he's off on assignment. And Coach Farasi Norman is here for his special segment. Now, Coach Norman I've been telling him he's gonna get on the whiteboard. He gonna get on the whiteboard. I done made this man patiently wait. Coach Norman, are you ready? Are you ready?
Hey, you know I'm ready. You know I'm ready. Real quickly, BF, whatever's going on, brother, I hope you're feeling better. Once again, I appreciate everything you've done for me. Because of you, I'm here. AD, once again, you too. You've been a big friend of mine. And so anytime I get a chance to get on the board and show what I can do, I appreciate it. Time is running out. We got about 3 more weeks, and then, presidents, AD start making decisions. I'm hoping everyone or someone is thinking Farasi Norman. So let's go ahead and get started here. Let me see if I need to stand up. Here, last week, I told everybody I was going to pull up my passing tree. Now, I told you, everything I do is real simple. KIS, keep it simple. I'm not the hard guy. This ain't physics, it's football, okay? So up here, a 1 and 2 is a 5-yard out. A 3 and a 4 is a 10-yard out. A 5 is my quick slant. 6 and 7s are my 12 to 10-yard comeback. So we're pushing it to 12, bringing it back to 10. 8s and 9s are 20-yard post corners. Then I got my favorite route, the 10 route, which is the deep route. My 2 favorite routes I like to throw is going to be the 5 and the 10. Now over here, I got a PC and a CP. A PC stands for post corner. PC, my fault. PC stands for post corner, and a CP stands for corner post. So instead of saying like 8-9 or 8-8 or something like that, I'll say a PC or a CP. Then I got a tie in and a tie out. They're like 5 to 7 yards. They're good short yardage goal line routes. Okay, you come up on the DB or the outside linebacker, give him a little wiggle, bring it in, give him a little wiggle, bring it out. Okay, then we got a dig. Now I attach the dig with the 3 and 4s. My 3 and 4 are the yard outs. So I'll say, give me a 4-yard dig or a 3-yard dig, so they know we're taking from 10 to 15. Okay, now we got a wheel route. Everybody know what the basic wheel route is, anything like that. And then we got running back routes. I got a check split, a check swing. So he's checking inside out. Like remember I said last week, he's gonna come check inside, make sure everything's secure inside. Then he's gonna swing to the left or to the right. Then we got a slip route. For example, you see here, like I'll say 22 slip. So we're gonna go boom. He's gonna fake here. He's gonna come through the 2-hole. He's coming out here to the flats. Quarterback is looking down towards the safety, makes sure he's out. Then he dumps to the running back in the flats, takes it up the field. So a fake, when I say fake, last week someone said you can't use fake. I can use fake because I've been using it for 20 years and it works. It's called like a play action. So we're going to fake 21, fake 22. Of my passing game, I can say fake 21, 8, 9, 7, 3. Now, over here, we always go right to left in my passing game. So we had X, Y, Z, A. Up here at the top. So if you can see up here at the top, I got Eagle, which is my 2x2. We did that last week, okay? That's my 2x2. Then we got Eagle left, Eagle right, which is twins left, twins to the right. But beneath there, we got Raven, which is my 3x1. That's trips. Now, to the side call, I'll say Ravens left, that's trips left. Ravens right, trips right. Now, come down, we got Falcon, which is my bunch package. Okay, you can see right there, it's X, Y, Z. Then over here, we had an A. Remember I said I go X, Y, Z, A. So we got a Falcon, Falcon left, Falcon right. And a Hawk. Hawk is my 2-minute. And we work that every day. Yeah, Coach Norman does a 2-minute drill. It's called Hawk. Hawk right, Hawk left. Now, whatever side I tag, Hawk left, trips left, twins to the opposite side. Hawk right, trips right, twins to the opposite side. It's a single back, it's a no back formation. Okay, and then we got pup, which means pass under pressure. So we're doing that every day. When I say that we're not messing around, wasting time in practice, we go through, we pre-stretch, we condition, we special teams. And from there, we jump right into pup, down and back. I'm on the sideline, I'm calling out numbers, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3. And then the quarterback says it. So I always want the team to hear it from him, not me, but from him. So I'm saying it out loud. He's just saying what I said. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we're going. Catch the ball, drop it, and we're not huddling back up. We're running back to our spots and quarterback. And I'm saying the plays out again. So it's real fast. We're going down. I give him a 10-second breather. I got a thing called big breath in. So go, push it out. Big breath in, push it out. Then let the quarterback say, you ready? Say, yes, sir, because we respectful of my program. I say, okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3. And he'll say, 6, 7, 9, 3. Hit. Boom, and we're going back again. And it's just constant movement till we come all the way back down. Then we water break. Excuse me, I got a little gnat in the house. Okay, so now that's pup up under there. Once again, we always go left to right, X, Y, Z, A. Now, talk a little run game. O-line, I've told you guys this before, 2, 4, 6, 8, 0, 1, 3, 5, 7. The quarterback is 1, and the single back, he's 2. If there's an I formation, that's I formation, he's a 3. And my power I, short yards goal line, that's a 4. Okay, so we got Ida, which would be Ida right, which would be tight end. Ida right stands for I formation. I right telling the tight end which side to go. Ida left, he's to the left. Okay, and we can go double tight, which is right here, the 2 tight ends. I like double tight, short yardage goal line. Physical. So then from there, we're going down here. We got Paula, which is my power I formation, which is short yardage situation. That's Paula right there, which is like, and that's a 4. Now, if I say Paula right, it's on the right. If I say Paula left, it's still a 4, but it's over here. Now, the number takes you to the hole. We can say fake 33, 44. So he's going to jab this way. The quarterback's turn around. He's faking here. Come underneath here. Okay? Boom, things like that. Real simple and easy. Once again, it's simple. KISS. Keep it simple. Susie, which is my split back. So all we're going to do, we're going to take 2 and 4. We're going to split them right behind the guards. Okay? Or I got Susie gun. I created that formation because I love it. We bring it back to the shotgun formation. We do a lot of cross bucks. When you dive, straight left, straight right. We can go option left, option right. Go quarterback, bootlegs. It's about 10 different formations. I can go from there. Okay? Now, let's go. Let's keep moving. Where we at? We're at Grambling soon. I just talked about Grambling. Grambling, because you know I love Eddie Robinson, greatest football coach of all time. That's the flex bone. So we take the 3, we put him right here. Take the 4, put him right there. Do a lot of motion. Everything comes off to 21-22. Okay? Everything. This the 2-back. He's a big, strong, physical guy because he's rough, tough. So everything comes off to 21-22. We motion this way, option right. Motion this way, option left. We can do some quarterback bootleg. We can say Grambling 47 motion, 18 boot pass. He's coming back this way. He hits 1-2. He swings out to the flats, hits him in the chest. Okay. Same thing with Sooner. With Sooner, he just drops back here. Wishbone formation. Once again, 21, 22, 23, 24s. Everything comes off that. Then I got a formation called New Mexico. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Although I love Hawaii. Okay. I love Hawaii, and everybody knows that. Been there since 2019. Well, I was there since 2019. But I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I got a formation called New Mexico. It's 2 wide receivers, 2 tight end, single back, short yardage, goal line. So right here, there's be a formation right here. You cover up these guys right here, the 3 and the 4, and it can be up under. It can go from shotgun up under the center. You got the 2 tight end, you got the receivers. Naturally, they're off the line. Now, defensively, you got to cover your tight end and your receivers. I can still run 21, 22, 23, 24. I can run option left, option right. I can bootleg, counter. There's all kinds of things. Oh, we can throw the ball. We can throw 5s. We can throw 6s. We can throw 7s. We can throw digs. We can do what we want to do from New Mexico. Off of every run is a pass. Off every pass is a run. So that's why I laugh. I never want to decode and say, I got Coach Norman. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because like I was saying earlier in Drew, when they talking about what would you do different in the game, you saw me run the ball 40 times from 5 different formations. Now I'm going to come out and hawk the first half. Now, real quickly, I'm film studying. I see a team, they got a weak secondary. I'm coming out and hawk. I'm letting my team know, fellas, we need 42 by halftime. Otherwise, it's a problem Sunday morning, okay? You don't want a problem with Coach Norman. So give me my 42, which means we're chunking it the whole first half. Now, everybody, Farasi run, he's out of his element. No, I'm just taking advantage of what I have. I got a good quarterback. I got a good receiver. You got a weak secondary. So, hey, I'm going to put what the new term everybody using, belt to butt. That's what I'm doing. Okay, over here, line-wise, always going 2 feet splits, run or pass. Once again, you heard me say earlier, I think every coach should be a genius. So if your splits are wide, they're going to say, he's running. If he's short on your splits, he's passing. Okay, well, no, we always in a 2 feet splits, no matter what, run or pass. Now, if my O-line, everything's moved into the O-line. I don't do a 700, 500. I'm not an NFL coach, okay? So I'll say dive or lead. They know that's a drive block, okay? If they hear zone or stretch, we're stepping to the play side. So, example, we're going to say 23 zone or 23 zone. So everyone's stepping with their left, okay? You got your left. They're stepping with the left head, and they're stepping left, and they're driving upwards. The running back is taught butt down, head up, because it may not hit the 3 hole. It may hit the 1 hole. It may hit the 5 hole. But we're stepping that way, and he's going through there. Okay, so that's how the O-line knows what to do. Now, also, we got where we at? Option and sweep. Now, option, we're scooping to the play side. We're cutting on the back side. So if I say option left, everybody knows where left is. They already know. Okay, I'm scooping to the left. I'm cutting on the back side. So we make everything real nice and simple and easy for guys. Once again, I got 20 different offensive formations. This is only about 70%. Once again, I got a small board. If I had a wall-size board, I'd keep going, but my man said I only get so much time. I respect that. Someone in the chat said, hey, that's not why we come here, but I appreciate you coming to the show. Really, I do. But this is just a little bit of what I do. I've been successful. I've had a lot of time on a board, and I've put up a lot of points. And once again, I teach my offense. You should learn it in 3 days. What I do, let's say I get a team. I'll teach my offense to you. The very next week, you need to make it 95% or better. Otherwise, we go outside, and we're going to do about an hour's conditioning. We're going to do it every day till you pass my test, because there's no reason why you shouldn't have this down. Put your phone down. Tell your girlfriend you can't call right now. You got to study. This is homework, but it's real simple and easy. Okay, so that's called the Norman option. I created it. I told you guys once before. It comes from the run and shoot, the spread, the option, and the West Coast. I just mix it all together, and I give it to my guys, and we go have fun. My offense is built to move the chains, keep the other team's offense off the sideline, score touchdowns, score first downs. It's fun offense. It's easy. And once again, we're going to run that ball. Drew, I'm good. Hello?
Got to give you some lag time, man. You got to give you some lag time.
Oh, well, I'm over fast. I didn't know how much time I had.
No, you got to give
me a speed talker and everything like that. I'm thinking, wow, I got like 3 minutes, so I had to sum it up like Chris Berman or something like that. But I'm Farasi Norman. But hey, hopefully everybody understood what I was doing. Once again, Drew, I appreciate you and Brian and the BCSN for letting me, do this. But time is ticking, brother. Once we said this first segment, my hand is up. We got 3 weeks, and then hopefully that phone rings and get back to work. People in the chat, appreciate everything. Want to say something real quickly. I seen J-Mac 2 segments ago. He said something like, Frosty, maybe you should call FSU. I can tell you this right now. They're not looking at Frosty Norman, brother. Now they're looking at a guy who's got my skin color, who's at a high level where I'm trying to get to. But that guy's in some cold weather right now. I think we know who I'm talking about. And I hope he does get it because he deserves it. What else we got, bro? Oh, I can keep going. I ain't got no shortage over here.
No, we gonna get ready to get up out of here, my brother.
Oh,
this
man.
has been a fun show. What
Sunday
I did
comes
not
so
do
fast every week. I be hating when the SEN. I'm like, dang it. But then it's almost like I walk up and down the street. Oh, Sunday's here. Okay, gotta get ready again. Let me shave up. You know what I'm saying? Want to look good in case there's somebody out there want to, just give me a job because he's handsome.
Yeah. What I did not do, Coach Norman, I did not finish going through all of the scores from Saturday, so I'm gonna quickly go through all the scores. If you want to make a quick comment on the game, give me a 10-15 second comment as I finish going through the scores from yesterday. CIAA action: Bowie State 45, Lincoln of Pennsylvania 7, Winston-Salem 37, Fayetteville State 31, Virginia State 35, Virginia Union 28. Those two teams will rematch this Saturday in Salem, Virginia for the CIAA championship. Two schools 30 minutes apart, got to drive 3 hours to play a championship game. Y'all figure that one out. Elizabeth City 27, Bluefield State 21, Livingstone 15, Johnson C. Smith 10. I think of all the scores I saw yesterday, that is the one that was the shocker out of all the scores that I saw on yesterday right there, Coach Norman.
Which one was that?
Livingstone 15, Johnson C. Smith 10.
What happened to Johnson C. Smith? Wasn't they 2 weeks ago? Wasn't they like our only undefeated team?
And 2 weeks later, they're out of the playoffs.
Injuries? That's the only thing I'm going to think of because we know it ain't coaching. Coach Flowers doing a great job with his team. So I'm going to say they had to have some injuries.
Well, we don't know right now. So we just going to take it for what it is. Let's go to the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. In the MEAC, Morgan State 36, Delaware State 28, South Carolina State 38, Howard 14. That brings up a showdown match. Morgan State, believe it or not, everybody controls their own destiny. Morgan State, should they defeat South Carolina State, could bring up a potential three-way tie in the MEAC. Who can say it? I don't have Morgan State pulling off the upset, but hey, any given Saturday, anything can happen.
Morgan State's living off defense, if I'm not correct. They remind me of those Baltimore Raven teams when they had Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, and they wasn't very good on offense. They could run the ball, but they just wasn't dominant. But defense is the reason why they won those Super Bowls, and that's what Morgan State is reminding me of because everyone's talking about Morgan needs help on offense, but like you said, they in charge of their own destiny. They right there, so that means that shout out to that head coach because I know he's a defensive guy, but that defense is playing well.
Yeah, but ironically, the last 2 weeks, Coach, Morgan's offense has done good, and the defense has kind of regressed over the last couple of weeks. So we'll see what it is as we're going through next Saturday. And going through the SWAC. Wrong spot. Going to the SWAC. Jackson State 51, Valley 14. Alcorn State 42, Texas Southern 21. Southern in 5 overtime defeats Bethune-Cookman 25-13. Prairie View 31, FAMU 12. No comments needed, Coach. I heard enough of them.
I was just gonna say I didn't see that one coming. That's all I was gonna say, bro. I was just gonna say I didn't see that one coming.
That wasn't the one to comment on. No, it's all good. I will say this. Daniel Richardson doesn't go out in the first half with the concussion. I think that's a different game. Not saying Prairie View wouldn't have beat FAMU, but I think that's a totally different game if Daniel Richardson plays all 4 quarters in that particular matchup. Alabama A&M 52, Arkansas Pine Bluff 24. Alabama State loses to Grambling by a score of 24-23. Coach Norman.
That was the other game right there I didn't see coming. You know, I figured Grambling would rebound because I figured Mickey Joseph, after the fiascos, would get his team ready to play. But I didn't see. I mean, even though it was a 1-point game, and I know Coach Robinson, he's over there on his 5th quarterback, but they're running that ball well. They got the best defense. I didn't see that one. I thought it'd be a close one, but I thought it'd be in favor of Alabama State. But that's why we play the game.
And finally, with our NAIA programs.
Okay,
yeah,
like you just told me, I don't need to hear it.
Coach Norman, y'all took it on the chin, 49-7. Langston lost to Texas Wesleyan, going into the Sun Conference. Florida Memorial went down in defeat to, I believe they had Kaiser, if I remember. Yes, Kaiser, 51-16. And finally, in the going back to the Sooner Athletic Conference.
About Texas College?
Yeah, Texas College is the only other school that I have not gotten.
Arkansas Baptist, isn't it? Arkansas Baptist also.
Wait a minute, I just lost my page. Oh, they gave me the wrong one. Sooner Athletic Conference football. And finally, out of the Sooner Athletic Conference, we had, let's see, Texas College got the victory, 38-36 over Wayland Baptist, and Arkansas Baptist fell to Louisiana Christian by a score of 66-12. And one more, forgot West. We always forget about West Virginia State. West Virginia State.
You know who we don't talk about much about, Drew, is West Virginia State and
Lincoln.
There you go, right? So you hey, great mind thinking alike. We hardly ever talk about those two.
Lincoln played Lane. They lost to Lane. I believe the score was 41-20 something. I had highlighted that one earlier when I went through the SIAC scores. And our final score in HBCU football, West Virginia State fell to Glenville State 40-14. Now we have gone around the globe in HBCU football. So, Coach Norman, big games of the week. Obviously, we've got Jackson State and Alabama State in the SWAC. Other big games coming up in the SWAC: Grambling State, Alabama A&M, Bethune-Cookman, and Texas Southern. At Texas Southern, Mississippi Valley travels to Tallahassee to face Florida A&M. Alcorn, Prairie View. Could this be a job-saving game for those folks down at Prairie View? Arkansas.
Hey, I think he did that last week or yesterday.
Maybe, maybe not. Arkansas Pine Bluff Southern. It's real simple in the SWAC. Southern win, Jackson State win. The races are over in both divisions on Saturday. Either one of these teams lose on Saturday, they open the door for a team to sneak back into it. Now, here's the thing. Southern needs to wrap this thing up, in my opinion, before they go on to the before they face Grambling in the Bayou. We've seen anything happen in the Bayou, and we know we can. It's best for Southern to go ahead and defeat Arkansas Pine Bluff. But Arkansas Pine Bluff is a team that's played well. We saw what they did to Alabama A&M. They've been competitive in all their games. Is this a trap game for Southern? With them looking towards a potential bye after next week.
I don't know Terrence Graves, but I know this. With that being on the table, he's feeding it to his team. And like you just said, fellas, we win Saturday, it's ours. So, hey, we're going to have a real good week of practice, kind of like what Mr. Walker said earlier. Go back to when he said at Sam Shade after the 0-2, they went back to, like, I call them 2-a-days, when you go back to tackling and hitting and everything is live, yeah, because this is a big week, fellas. We can end this Saturday. So I'm making sure everyone in my coaches, my players, we understand we win Saturday. This is done. This is why we're here. So, and then we can breathe a little bit and get ready for the Bayou Classic, which is always a big when you throw the records out for that one. But yeah, I got no doubt that Terrence Graves and his fellas will take care of business. They're fighting. What you said, they've been to 10 overtimes this week, so they ain't laying down. They fighting. So and Jackson State, I mean, shout out to TC and that crew, what they're doing right there. So I think it's done this weekend, brother. I really do. I think it's done, and we start getting ready for 2025.
But D-Lob also says he thinks it's done also because he says he doesn't have any hope for his Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions to defeat Southern this week. Especially UAPB is on the road. Texas Southern is at home, but Texas Southern has been known to drop games at home that they should not drop. But the interesting one, FAMU's only hope lies with Alabama State. FAMU needs Alabama State to beat Jackson State this week. Then they need Alcorn State to beat Jackson State in 2 weeks. Alcorn State's the home team in 2 weeks. Then Alabama, if both teams win out, Alabama State wins out. FAMU wins out. We've got a three-way tie. That same three-way tie scenario that we were talking about for the last 2 weeks, except everybody would have 2 losses at that point in time.
I don't see that happening, AD. I think both coaches are telling their teams and their coaches, we win.
Hey, shut up. I'm trying to keep hope alive. Jesse Jackson.
I know you are.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. I mean, once again, they had a great season. Cozy's doing a great job. He's not going anywhere. I got no doubt that he'll be back up and running for 2025. But I'm saying it's done this week. It should be done. And this comes down to coaching. Both head coaches need to look themselves in the mirror and say, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. So go get it done, fellas. Go get it done. But yeah, I think it's over Saturday in the SWAC. And just like I say, let's get ready for the Celebration Bowl, the Bayou Classic, or the Bayou Classic and the Celebration Bowl. And hopefully by then, you can be interviewing. I'm on the sideline with a water cooler, like, AD, what's going on, brother? Thanks for all your help. No problem, coach.
Yeah. And here's something. Should South Carolina State win this game on Saturday against Morgan State and FAMU lose, and Jackson, either FAMU lose or Jackson State goes ahead and defeats Alabama State, that puts South Carolina State back into the Celebration Bowl.
When did they get out of it? I thought they was number one in the MEAC.
Yeah, but they haven't sewn it up yet. That essentially sews it up for South Carolina State.
They'll get Morgan. I mean, it'll be a good game because Morgan plays good defense, but actually it's going to be 28, 24. It's going to be a good game. Good game. Yeah. I mean, I might be giving Morgan too many points, but it's a 3 to 5 point game. It ain't going to be no blowout. Both teams play good defense, but I got South Carolina State finishing it up. Once again, South Tennis knows I got to win this week so we can go ahead and take care of business. So this comes down to head coaching, and they all good head coaches. So I believe they're going to let their team know, fellas, Saturday's big for us. Saturday's big. Let's finish this up.
But here's an interesting, a little known fact. Should South Carolina State get back to the Celebration Bowl, that will leave FAMU as the only Celebration Bowl champion that has not made at least 2 appearances in the Celebration Bowl.
Okay, Celebration Bowl's been around 10 years?
Yes. Everybody.
FAMU would be the only team not to go twice?
Yes. If South Carolina State makes it back, they would be the only team not to have gone to the Celebration Bowl at least 2 times. Grambling has been there. Grambling was there twice. A&T was there 3 times. Central was there. They lost the first time. They won this time. So should South Carolina State make it back, that puts FAMU in a class by themselves, in the class they don't want to be in. As the only, they will be the only Celebration Bowl team not to make it back to back.
Well, I think they go into the offseason with a little grudge and chip on their shoulder and have a great workout and get ready for next August. You got good kids in that locker room. The cupboards ain't bare over there. So, you're going to be back.
Gotcha. All right, Coach Norman, final comments. Any games that you think you're going to keep an eye on for this weekend?
I don't have my schedule in front of me. I got a friend named AD Drew who usually sends me my schedule on Thursday night, Friday morning. So I don't have my schedule yet. When you see AD Drew, tell him, say, hey, Fox need his schedule. But I'll let you and BF know which games I'll be watching. But I want to say this real quickly. Charles Edmond has all seasons always said, because we've always talked about quarterbacks. I always talk about Xavier Langford, David Wright, or we talked about the kid at Arkansas Pine Bluff. And I said, who's the other one? It's Arkansas Pine Bluff, Xavier Langford, David Wright. Anyway, sum it up. He would always talk about his quarterback, and he would always say, hey, we got a good quarterback over here. And Saturday, I saw the first half of that game, and I saw the stats at the end. That brother ran for over 100, threw for over 100. And while I was watching him, I was like, now I see what Mr. Edmond was talking about. This kid's a player. He's a difference maker. So, I mean, I'm not going to put him into like any of the categories. We only got a couple weeks to go, but I will say this. The kid's a player. You know, I don't know if he's a junior, senior, or if he's coming back, but if he is, Alcorn will be heck to deal with next year. But that kid's, I watched him and I was amazed at what he could do. I mean, he can make it happen. He can make it happen.
I believe he's a senior, though. I know he transferred from Lincoln of PA. Or did he come from Lincoln of Missouri? Came from one of those Lincolns. Because he came, whichever Lincoln that the OC came from, he came with him.
Okay, the Lincoln in Missouri, because that's where the head coach, I mean, he was head coach over there. He came with him. Well, he's a player, man. I was very impressed with what I saw yesterday. I'm like, whoa. Now, because every weekend he says, you guys, watch my quarterback, watch our quarterback. And I'm like, okay, man, okay. I know you guys can run the ball, you got big linemen, but that brother there, I mean, he's real. He is real. They got some good QBs out there, man. I just hope the legacy ball, I know they can't pick them all up. Hope the NFL scouts got some of these brothers on their radar. They can, keep them moving forward. But I've been impressed with football this year. Once again, I want to thank you, BCSN and BF. Hope you're getting better out there, brother. And Drew, send me that list. I'll tell you which game I'm going to watch next weekend. We can get back. I'm going to have some new stuff on my board next week. Yeah, my receipt board, so I can get a paycheck. I'm kind of running on fumes over here.
All right. For those who want to continue on with HBCU football action, right now over on YouTube, you've got HBCU Nightly. If you want to go to Twitter, you've got the Twitter Spaces, SIAC Talk. Joshua Sims with HBCU Nightly, Joshua Sims, BJ Jones, and the rest of the guys with HBCU Nightly. And with Twitter on the Twitter Spaces, Ken Hooks, who was just on here with us, host that Twitter Spaces. So Brian will be back next week, I hope. I should be back for the foreseeable future. Appreciate y'all in my absence. Thanks once again. Thanks for all the congratulations that I got for taking on this task over at Morehouse. It's been fun. It's been challenging. It's been rewarding. And don't forget, membership has its privileges. You know, get to go out to the All-Star game this year, my brother. So it's gonna really be fun. So yeah. With that, Coach Norman, final shout out.
Aloha to the 808. Everybody, have a good weekend. See you guys next Sunday.
All right. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, follow, and like, subscribe, share, follow, and download the BCSN Pod Zone, where you can get each and every one of our podcasts, such as the Carlos Brown Show, Brave Talk with Charles Edmond, the ONG Strike Zone, and Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Dr. Cavill and the professors. So Dr. Bill comes on Tuesday, Thursday, and on Sundays. Carlos Brown comes on Saturdays. ONG Strike Zone on every Wednesday. And Brave Talk usually drops on either Mondays or Tuesdays. Pod Zone usually has the latest episode within about 24 hours of its original air date. But you can always find us right here on YouTube at MyJBN online, on all other social media, MyBCSN, and the number 1. So that's going to do it, Coach. For thank all of our special guests, Slide the Sports Guy, Kendrick Hooks, and Duane Walker for joining us here today, helping me pilot the ship. I am so ready to get back over to seat number 2 because I did not want to come back to the show to seat number 1. You know, it's like when Jordan left and Scottie Pippen all of a sudden had to start taking over the offense. I wasn't ready to take over the offense today, Brian. But no, get your rest. I know how it feels, brother. You got a well-deserved day off. Glad to be back here with my family my BCSN family here on YouTube, Facebook, and everything else. So for Coach Norman, Brian Fulford, and the rest of the BCSN family, God bless. We'll holla. We'll see you next week.
Aloha.
Stay on hard.